Hey guys, this is Justin from The Player's Take, the podcast you are listening to right now, and it's me from the future. We wanted to record something for this because this is the first episode of the show you're about to listen to, and I kind of we both wanted to come back and kind of explain some things. This was our first attempt at a show, and we were doing it kind of in a place we only did 2 episodes in, so the audio sounds really rough, is kind of what I'm getting at, and this is not indicative of the show's quality as it currently stands, so I would really recommend, if you listen to this and you like the conversations but you don't like the way the audio sounds, well, the way it sounds right now is what it sounds like in the show currently. So we got to this point really around like episode 50, but by the time you hit episode 3, it's a lot more listenable than the first 2 episodes, so please give us a chance, beyond this first episode. If you can't handle the audio quality, it does get much better from there. We've improved, so otherwise, please enjoy the show. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take episode 1. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Montrell Rice.
Boom, boom, bam.
So the Player's Take, we're starting a podcast. We want to talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to games. Montrell and I we're not affiliated with the game industry in any way. However, we've both we've been working with each other for a few months, and we kind of learned that we're both pretty passionate about games, and we want an outlet to talk about stuff, so we just decided to put it online, to give us a way to talk about stuff, but also to kind of put it out there.
Yeah, I actually do have a degree in gaming, so but I do have one.
Okay.
I do have a degree in gaming. I did make a couple of projects that never went anywhere. I made a couple of cell phone games that really didn't go anywhere as well. But I still made it, so I do understand both sides, the developer and the player side of things. But since I'm still trying to pursue a job in that career, but I'm not actively trying to because I need to get my portfolio, blah, blah, whatever. I consider myself a heavy consumer of video games. Been playing video games since 1992, when I was like 3 years old.
Same here.
My first video game, just to give y'all a little brief history about like who are these guys. I know these guys talk about video games, but what video games did you play and how long? So, like I said, my first video game ever was the Sega Genesis, or my first console rather was Sega Genesis, and my first video game was the original Sonic the Hedgehog. What about you, Justin?
So I've been playing games about the same amount of time. We're both 29, so we kind of grew up in the SNES era, N64, PS1 era. I started I was probably 4 when I started, and honestly, the first game I really remember playing a lot, we're going to get into this later, was Rock and Roll Racing on the Super NES.
What?
So, yeah. Oh, hey man, no, we'll get into it later. It's a Blizzard game. Like it's
a Blizzard game.
It's a Blizzard game. Yeah.
Okay.
My brother and I were obsessed with that game. That's the first game I really kind of fell into. But then I kind of grew away from I started playing on my own after that. Mostly focused on Nintendo, but kind of found my way into PlayStation over the years, and I've been kind of in both of those ecosystems for a long time. Also in PC a lot. I was a huge PC gamer when I was younger. Less so now, because that part of the industry is kind of not. There's not as much there in terms of the AAA side of things, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I've been gaming since I was 4, so we're both super passionate. It's beyond just a hobby for us, I would say. It's well beyond that. Like, I follow the industry extremely closely. I follow the goings on of studios and publishers and everything with that like that. So I think we kind of feel like we have enough knowledge and understanding to kind of have a conversation like this and go a little bit more in depth than we would just kind of talking and shooting the shit.
Like, obviously we don't have any sources or anything like that, but it's just, I don't know if you guys noticed, but throughout the games media and things of that nature, there's really not how should I put this? There's really not just a unbiased opinion out there of video games. I feel like everyone we listen to has some kind of not agenda they're pushing, but they have some kind of bias, angle.
Yeah.
Like whether you listen to someone's podcast and they're sponsored by Sony, so obviously they're going to be more, nicer towards Sony, or we have an Xbox podcast or somebody who's more biased towards Xbox. The people I've noticed I've been listening to, there's no one who just gives their genuine opinion on video games. So hopefully we can fill that void, because I know there's a lot of gamers out there who have this void of people wanting to talk about video games in an unbiased from their perspective. Because I feel like another reason we started this, because we feel like there's a kind of an attack on, not on gamers per se, but just like regular people playing video games. You have to be some type of special person to play a video game when it's not really that deep, bro.
Yeah, I mean, just building off that, like I do listen to a couple podcasts myself within games, but I've fallen off of it over the years, because I do feel like the personalities out there that talk about games, they just talk about it in a way that's so detached from the consumer lifestyle, which we're both in that. So I mean, we're ingrained in that. We don't have sources, we don't have connections with the industry. We still buy our games, like. Mm-hmm. So, like, I understand what it means for a game to cost $60. I understand the value proposition there. I think a lot better than somebody within the industry that reviews games, because they get all their games for free.
Exactly.
So, we kind of want to fill that void somewhat, but also just kind of bring a different perspective, because I don't feel like there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people out there that just kind of focus on one thing. Like, they focus on Nintendo, they focus on Sony, they focus on Xbox. We're much more well-rounded than that. I don't really play much Xbox, but I play the other three sides of it, and I know you play Xbox, so we kind of have a little bit more of a rounded kind of knowledge, I guess, than your traditional podcast would.
Yeah, I mean, don't get us wrong. I mean, we're human, so we are going to have our biases. I mean, obviously, I'm probably going to be more biased towards Xbox and Nintendo, whereas he's going to be more biased towards Sony and Nintendo or PC.
Hey man, don't put that on me.
I'm
not gonna be biased.
I'm just saying it may come out sometime where you may like disagree, and that's cool. We want people to disagree. We're going to disagree with each other. So I mean, just listen to us and see what we get. And I mean, do you want to jump into it or?
But hold on, I just to finish this point off. Look, I play Sony games. I play a lot of PlayStation. I play a lot of Nintendo. Those are probably my main two. However, I'm going to put Nintendo and Sony's feet to the fire.
Yeah.
If they do shit that is untoward, I'm gonna call them out on it. So don't feel like when he's saying bias, I'm not gonna cover for them. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna go at Sony, and you made it hear that this episode. Like, I'm gonna tell you the truth. We're gonna talk about Nintendo later, and
I go at Xbox all the time. You could have heard my rants at work and early this generation about Xbox. I kind of swore off Xbox for a while. But yeah, we're gonna get into it. You can hear both of our sides and just determine our personality. And that was a really long intro, but we're gonna do it. Let's
go. All right, so yeah, first segment we're gonna do every week. We're gonna kind of talk about what we've been playing. So I guess I'll start it off. So I've been kind of playing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've been playing Smash mostly more recently. I've been having a good time with it. I like Smash Ultimate. I really love the fact that all the characters in the series are in it. I think they put a lot of the stages from the past games in it as well, which I really appreciate. I wish they had been able to get everything in there. That would have been nice, but that's kind of I guess that's a big ask. But I'm having fun with the game. I know you just purchased it today, so I don't think you have too many thoughts on it yet. But we're gonna be talking about that one going forward. So
yeah. I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I've been trying to finish that. Also, recently just jumped back into it. Don't ask me why. Final Fantasy 14. I got addicted to that again. And yeah, I just bought Smash today. I've been playing a lot of different games. I'm pretty backlogged. Hopefully my girlfriend bought me Spider-Man for my birthday. So, because I saw Spider-Verse and I really want to play a Spider-Man game now. I just played the Devil May Cry demo. Loved it. Can't wait for that game to come out. And yeah, that's pretty. Oh, and I still regularly play League of Legends. Unfortunately, that cancerous game. And I'm starting to get into Dota.
We've been playing PUBG too.
Yeah.
With the snow map and stuff.
Our third person, who's not recording with us, obviously, but he's moving, so we haven't been playing
in a little bit. Yeah. But otherwise, I've been playing a little bit. I've been playing Pillars of Eternity since like August. And it's been a struggle playing that game. I really like the game, but it's just long. There's a lot to it, particularly with the DLCs.
Shouts out to Obsidian.
Hey, we're gonna talk about them later too. Don't worry. But yeah, I've been playing that. I've been really trying to get through it. I'm through the main game, but I'm doing the DLCs right now, and they add a pretty significant chunk of time to the game. So I'm still just trying to slog through that. I've also been playing Telltale Batman Season 2. Their closure kind of made me want to play that game and see kind of where.
They're on the same game.
Hey man,
They're point and click adventures.
They are.
Play
they
Monkey
are.
Island.
But I wanted to see what their kind of latest,
Island.
one of their last works was before they shut down. So I think that's pretty much all I've been playing. I've been playing a couple other minor things. I downloaded Monument Valley on phone this morning, which was. I know.
You can see my face.
So I had a bunch of Google rewards money that I get from because I do their stupid surveys. I had like $15 saved up. So I just was like, I woke up this morning. I don't know why. I just decided to download.
I do not sponsor Justin's mobile game abilities, guys.
Look. It's a mobile game. It's fun. It's little puzzles. Like it's great. Whatever. I've kind of stopped the mobile gaming recently, so this was kind of a weird turn for me this morning. But
that's actually one thing we're probably going to talk about next week. I really want to talk about mobile games, the addiction, and are they considered really gamers? But that'll be next week.
All right, stay tuned, everybody.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so let's jump into the news. So, first thing we want to go over, kind of, since we're just starting, there's been a lot of news happening recently that we want to kind of go over. Big things that happened within the past couple of weeks that obviously we didn't have podcasts, so we didn't have a chance to talk about them. So the first one being the Game Awards. There were a few announcements at the Game Awards that of note. There were quite a lot of games. I think there was 30-something games that were in total kind of announced or teased or had some kind of trailer or announcement at the Game Awards. The two biggest ones being Dragon Age 4 for BioWare, and then Obsidian, we mentioned before, with the Outer Worlds. They showcased, that was a premiere for that game.
Slap in the face to Fallout. Bethesda.
So let's start with Dragon Age. It was a short teaser. I really want to use this as a jumping off point to talk about BioWare in general. Okay. Because there wasn't much with this. It was just some music with an ominous guy speaking. There wasn't much to go on there, but I feel like this is a situation similar to Bethesda with Fallout 76, which we can jump right into this as well. Like, I feel like they're announcing Dragon Age 4 to kind of get the people who are skeptical of Anthem to kind of be like, oh, okay, BioWare's still going to make games for us.
See, I didn't even think about that. I mean, how you feel about, we'll get into it later, but how Justin feels about Blizzard, I feel about BioWare. I play a lot of their games. My first game was Jade Empire with them. I know they made some games before that. I think it was Neverwinter. Yeah, I jumped into Neverwinter after that. But Jade Empire, Couture, and the last Dragon Age game, Inquisition, combat wise was excellent. Everything else, I was like, bro, it's the scores on Metacritic right now. I think it's 6 out of like a 64, and that's about what
Inquisition.
Yeah,
wow.
That's about what I give it, like a 6 out of 10. It's like it has the potential.
Well, are we talking like General Games Media 64, where
this
is
the worst?
That's like the worst game ever, or is this like it's above average?
It's like an average game.
Okay,
it's an average game. The thing about BioWare is they took a lot of turns with their writing in general. And I did put this on my Twitter. Follow my Twitter at I try for the Hokage, Twitter.com. But put this on my Twitter. It's not that we have a issue with gamers in general. Do not have an issue with diversity or anything like that. It's just how it's written. And BioWare, for the longest time, all their games had a significant amount of diversity. I'm a black gamer, and I love the diversity in all their games. It was phenomenal. The problem I had with like Mass Effect, and they really didn't do it in Dragon Age Inquisition, but Mass Effect Andromeda, they really like went up there It was like, hey guys, look at me. I am this, and that. Recognize me. And it's like, bro, we know who you are. We saw you there. And I don't know, BioWare's just writing has just went down the drain. And I feel like I know before you get on, like, hey, what, Anthem was, or not Anthem, but Andromeda was made by their B team. And I understand that, and I know Inquisition was made with the Frostbite engine. That was kind of like their first RPG experiment with the Frostbite engine, and we understand that engine is pretty terrible.
They had to build a lot of that from the ground up, from what I understand. For the RPG side of the game, like it's made for shooters.
Yeah, it's made for shooters. They patched a lot of it after, so I played Inquisition after all the patches, and I didn't have any problems. But I know before the patches, when it first was dropped, everyone was having issues with it, and it was pretty crazy. And you wouldn't expect that from a BioWare game. You may expect glitches here and there. But that's the thing about BioWare and Bethesda in general. That's why we're talking about these companies, because they were at the pinnacle of like single player experience, and they were about the story. Elder Scrolls with Bethesda, Fallout. Well, after Fallout 2, but even Fallout 3 had really good storytelling, even though I prefer New Vegas, which is made by Obsidian. But that's another thing. But with BioWare, their writing was top notch. They made all their games and everything of that nature. It was just them. And yeah, around when EA took over, I don't know, man. It's just like, it started with Mass Effect 3, even though the writing was really good in Mass Effect 3, but you can tell the decisions they were making, the skill trees and everything, how streamlined it was. Like, how do you feel about BioWare and their ability how do you feel about Anthem in general? How do you feel about that game? The snippets that you saw so far.
Before we get to that, EA acquired BioWare. Was it after Mass Effect 2 came out?
It was during Mass Effect 2.
It was before Mass Effect 2. It was between 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
It was after Mass Effect 1 came out?
Yeah, because they had the Cerberus network on Mass Effect 2. So okay. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't feel like we saw the effects with 2. We started seeing them with 3, though.
Yes.
Of EA's influence. We saw them a little bit with 2 because of the DLC. I remember there was a lot of DLC for 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, though. It was quality. But to get back to your original question, Anthem. Yeah, so there was another trailer for Anthem at the Game Awards as well. And you showed me a 45-minute gameplay segment. You said there was another video they've released, though, that was
they just did
a couple hours or something like that?
Playthrough. They live streamed it. I don't.
Okay.
And it looks a bit more promising because
it was just attempting to show some organic gameplay.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. I haven't seen that, but of what I have seen, this game, I just don't know what they're going for. They're selling it like a Destiny clone, but now they're trying. They've said so many things that have conflicted with that they want the game to have some story. And then I've started hearing more recently that the game's not going to be a story focus. It's going to be more multiplayer centric, like we originally thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like the game's it's not grabbing me. I have no interest in it. I because the Division's coming out the next month, 3 weeks later, and I'm way more excited about that. I'm way more excited about that than Anthem because the Division knows what it is. Ubisoft's not trying to sell that game as something other than what it is. It's a multiplayer-centric shared world shooter with loot and leveling, but it's also single-player focused. You can play that whole game by yourself. And that game actually delivers that experience, though. The problem with Anthem, and Destiny was way worse with this, I just don't believe that game's going to be a single-player experience, so you're relying on the multiplayer aspect of this game, and if it's not up to snuff, which it doesn't look like it is, it looks like a boring... I'm just going to be frank, it looks boring.
It looks like what I want Iron Man game to be.
Yeah, they're trying to sell the flying and all this stuff and the crazy amounts of mobility, but when I look at the game, it's like, okay, you can fly, but are there barriers to where you can fly? Because everything they've shown, they've never... I don't know if they showed this in this most recent gameplay video, but how high can you go? Can you go above the mountains that they've shown in all these videos? Because there's always mountains to the side of you, and how vertical can you get?
They did pull the I don't know if you remember the trailer for Breath of the Wild. Where like,
Yeah.
you see those mountains back there? You can climb them.
Yeah,
They did kind of pull that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how far you can fly.
Because that's important. If this game is going to be about exploration and your ability to fly around and do whatever you want, like that matters a lot.
I think they're going to have it limited, but
I do too. That's based on what I've seen. The fact that they haven't shown the limits, because that's valuable information. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit about their marketing speak where they're like, oh, you see that? You can go to that. Great. How can I go to it? Do I have to walk? Do I have to fly to one place and then walk up a mountain fucking trail to get there? Like, or can I just fly directly to it?
And yeah. So I think that's been the whole plague of, just coming from a game designer's perspective, that's been the whole plague of flying.
Yeah.
Flying literally breaks level design.
It does. 100%.
And it would be very interesting. I'm pretty sure there's going to be caves that they go into and things of that nature.
Yep, to get to certain places. Yeah, definitely.
Or just like to go through missions and stuff like that. I mean, don't get us wrong. We're not hating on the game. I want this game to be successful.
I'm not loving it, so.
But yeah, we're being realistic. I want, like, I'm just gonna be honest. I want this game to be like their comeback game. Like okay, maybe BioWare can do it. I want this. But the thing is, that Destiny train has ran its course. And you know why? Because it's Destiny. And if Destiny, I feel like Destiny was the flagship game for these style of shooter loot. Like,
it was the first one.
Yeah.
Well, the first one.
Borderlands was technically the first one.
Yeah, but it wasn't fully online.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, it was like the first one, and everyone kind of references Destiny. But I feel like Destiny has, like, killed the player base with that, or the player's confidence in those type of games because of the money transactions or the microtransactions and things of that nature, and the lack of a story. Whereas we had Division, but it took them a while to get the Division that we have today, which is a really good game. I do recommend you go back and play it. It just took a while. Like, you bought it on launch. It was a really good. I don't know. That game's weird. It's really good.
It is.
But
it is a weird game.
Yeah.
I have feelings on that game because I fell into the beta with that game and was obsessed with it. Like, I got super into it. Then it came out and the game really disappointed me because I thought the leveling experience was bland and boring and not fun. The fun was at the end game when you hit max level.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, that's like, I docked the game big time for that. And I didn't stick around very long. And I heard it got better. And I'm really hoping with the Division 2 they learn from that and they make it better. But yeah, it's like the thing is with these shared world shooters, I think there's a space for them. Clearly, I mean, millions of people play these games still, and Destiny's not as popular, but still popular. I just think if someone makes one that's really high quality, that hits on story, hits on the gameplay, hits on the loot element, hits on the character customization element, hits on all these things, you could have a really, really, really fun video game here.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't think any of these companies are trying to do that. And I feel like it looks like BioWare with Anthem's not trying to do that either. They're trying to. I don't know what they're trying to do. They keep trying to sell these story trailers, and I just don't buy it. I don't buy there's much there.
You hit the nail on the head there. While I was thinking about it, another reason why a lot of people don't have faith in this game, including myself, is, I mean, just look at EA's track record over the last 5 years. With all their games, they're super monetized, and this game is the epiphany of a monetization game. It's going to be online only.
But they keep saying it's not going to have microtransactions, or it's going to have cosmetic only, or whatever, right?
We're talking about, and I understand that. Maybe EA is like, hey guys, you can do your thing. But we're talking like a company that killed a franchise.
They've killed a lot of franchises.
We're talking about a company that actually failed at a Star Wars game. How do you fail at a franchise as big as Star Wars?
Twice.
Yeah,
twice.
And I just don't. I just feel like EA's grasp on their companies is too big, and I understand that they're a company, they're trying to make money.
They're in a strenuous spot right now. They're besides FIFA and Madden, what game can you say has been a financial success for them? Like they're eating shit right now on. I feel like they're gonna eat shit on Anthem. They're eating shit on Battlefield big time. They ate shit on Titanfall twice, and I read today too. They're making Titanfall 3 might be a thing. I mean, I know that game has a cult following, but who's asking for that game? Like, They really going to try to market that again? Are they going to put it up right next to Battlefield again like they did the last time? Like, come on.
I didn't buy Titanfall 2. I heard it was very good. I like mechs, so I love
I do
mechs.
too. I do too.
And I did like Titanfall 1. I just didn't like the online only aspect, and I think Titanfall 2 learned that lesson. But
they released it the week before Battlefield 1 was coming out.
Yeah, and that was their. And I feel like EA killed their own game with that.
That's my point, though. What do they have the leadership in place to actually make the right decisions? Because I feel like they don't.
The leadership's in place, and I feel like we can talk about this a little bit more. I think this is the problem with Bethesda and BioWare and Blizzard and EA and all these companies. They need CEOs that understand the culture.
Yeah.
Right now,
they don't.
Yeah, we have business savvy CEOs, which would make sense. Like in executives, that would make sense in the perfect world. Have them run the business side, and then you have the game developers who run the game side. It seems like it mixes. It should mix well. Yeah. But what you have now is, capitalism trumps all, and
money over everything.
Yeah, money over everything. Microtransactions.
Well, it's overt too. Yeah. That's the problem, and the customers are starting to see that, which is where the break's starting to happen with a lot of these companies. Is that they're so overtly trying to chase the dollar that the customers are getting disgusted by it and are leaving in droves. I mean, they're going elsewhere. Like, ironically, Activision is the one who gets this. they with
Blizzard?
No, I know, but I'm talking Call of Duty specifically. Think about Call of Duty this year. I mean, they hit it out of the park. That game's fucking killing it right now. Yeah. It's all over Twitch. I know the blackout mode specifically is why Twitch is why it's all over Twitch. But guess what? They did it though. That was ready on release. Yeah. Battlefield's battle royale mode not going to be ready till next year. Who even cares at that point? Yeah, they delayed it to next year. It's not even ready to go. And that's kind of my point with the leadership. Like, that should have been your number one priority.
They advertised that.
I know they did. That's a huge issue.
Wild.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? So you're just completely at odds with your customer base. You don't understand what they want, and you're not delivering what they want. And Activision is a cesspool of microtransactions still. Call of Duty is just, that is the epitome of microtransactions, that game.
I heard it's not as bad as it was in other games, though.
There you go, right? Like, Activision. You're saying that about Activision. Activision, dude. Like,
these are the guys who killed the Tony Hawk series.
So as much as their CEO is like the businessman 101, like they seem to get it somewhat. They've reclaimed a lot of the ground that Battlefield had gained on them over the years, and they reclaimed it hard too because Battlefield is just tanking. Like the game's just not selling that well. Like
a lot of people. Battlefield 5 came out, and a lot of people are actually. I think at one point on Steam, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but or you guys can check the source of this, whatever. Like Battlefield 4 kind of actually skyrocketed when Battlefield 5 came out.
Yeah.
A lot of people still play Battlefield 4.
Yeah.
I still play Battlefield 4 because it's just the microtransactions are not there. I can still get stuff through challenges and stuff like that, and I know.
Well, the content's there.
Yeah, the content's there. And I know, what I was going to get to, I know we sound like we are old heads and we're not trying to be prestigious gamers or whatever. And I know a lot of younger people, they don't have a problem with this because they grew up in this, kind of microtransactions. Yeah. But you guys have to understand, when we were playing games, BioWare, they released finished products. EA at the time, we didn't really have this stain towards them. Well, I didn't. I really wasn't playing a lot of their games, but even their sports games, when they had EA Big, they had SSX Tricky, NBA Street Volume 1, 2, and 3, and these games were fully fledged games that were fucking good. Like, they were really good games. You had Dead Space 1 and 2. You had these really good games coming from EA in their companies before they decided to kill them, but they were making these really good games. And there weren't any microtransactions. You can tell the developers were kind of passionate. They weren't chasing the dollar, or they weren't chasing their master's dollar. Mm-hmm. It was just a lot of passion put into these games, Easter eggs and things of that nature. Whereas now, I understand and I love it that video games are mainstream. But now it's just like I feel like Call of Duty 4 changed the landscape of like what it means to
Modern
be
Warfare.
yeah, what it means to be a successful game.
Yeah.
When that game started,
It does. It did.
yeah, it changed changed the playing field. Cause I remember like Capcom changed their whole thing trying to chase this dollar. You know, everyone was trying to chase that dollar, and it became no longer about passion. I mean, other people can argue that Halo 2 did that, but I don't think Halo 2 was a huge.
No, Call of Duty was it.
Yeah, but Call of Duty was on multiple platforms, and that one I remember just changed the landscape of like how we think business in games work.
That was the one with was that the first one that had the map packs?
Yes.
That they did? Like 4 map packs over the course of the game's life or whatever.
I think actually only one. I want to say only one or two maps came out with that.
Really? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
But they sold them like $10.
They did start this, and I mean, the industry's copycat with this stuff. I mean, they want to make as much money as they can, but that's the problem. The people at the top don't understand like how to do it appropriately. Like, I don't mind the microtransactions, but they have to be done tastefully. When it's at the expense of the game or at the expense of the player, that's where it starts to get disgusting. And EA is one of the ones that they just don't get it. They clearly don't. Battlefront 2 was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Like, being a gamer for 25 years, like they destroyed that game to try to make money. And it was obvious to everybody. Like, we understand how games work. Gamers aren't dumb. We know how systems work. We know how design works. Like, we're much more educated on this stuff than we were 10 years ago when this shit started happening. And that game was completely destroyed from the ground up just to sell loot boxes. Like, the game wouldn't exist. The loot boxes made the game go. Like, the whole game was designed around loot boxes.
Yeah, that loot box trend was started by, I guess we can kind of segue into this company. We didn't even talk about Bethesda. But yeah, before we segue into Blizzard, let's talk about Bethesda real quick.
Yeah.
Now, I was watching a podcast and someone asked this question to the viewer or to the person talking. They said, "Why do we uphold Bethesda as this, reigning the savior for single player games?"
I don't think we do anymore, though.
I never really did. I never considered
did.
them.
Yeah, I never did.
But a lot of people actually do. And I mean, they didn't make that whole announcement like, "Hey, yeah, we want single player games," and they did do that last year.
Yeah.
And they have came out with a lot of good single player games. You got Doom, you got Wolfenstein, Dishonored, Prey. Those are all very good single player games. Some may disagree with this, and I disagree with this, but I'm just going by the sales. Fallout 4. Jeez, that was hard to say.
Well, so I think this is a good transition into the next part of the Game Awards. So, Obsidian announced the Outer Worlds, which is basically looks like their version of a Fallout game in space.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if this wasn't a more overt kick to the nuts to Bethesda, I don't know what is. Like, Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas, which is widely considered one of the probably the best first-person Fallout games that was ever released, not including 1 and 2 because those are isometric games. Yeah. But a lot of people feel that way. Obviously, there are probably people who feel like 3 or 4 was the best.
People were turned off by that game because the glitches. But I'm like, the glitches were fixed.
But Bethesda's games are glitchy anyways. I don't understand what the difference is there because
I don't debate with these people. I just say I just not.
I got it. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like at this point Bethesda's got to be sweating because Fallout 76 is one of the most unmitigated game launch disasters in the past 5 years, and you've got a
code from. Not to cut you off, but they're using code from Skyrim and Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Upon release code, not the post-launch patch stuff.
I mean, I heard there's bugs in Fallout 76 that were in Fallout 4.
Yeah,
that never got fixed. Yeah, that never got fixed by Bethesda.
It never got fixed by Bethesda.
Yeah.
And I understand Bethesda is like our game's easy to understand, but at some point, bro, like you can't rely on modders in the community. Even though they're passionate, and I love the mods for all the Fallout games and Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls games, but you can't rely on them. Like, you're a full-fledged company that's making money. You have QA testers. You have all these people in place to make sure your game is quality content. And yeah, just not what you said. What's it called? Outer Worlds again?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at the trailer, yeah, it is a clear fuck you to Bethesda because, like, it's like
there's got to be something there.
Yeah, they're like the original creators of Fallout.
Yeah, they must have approached Bethesda to make a Fallout game, and Bethesda said fuck no, and then Obsidian was like, okay, fuck you, we're gonna make a game better than yours then.
And I feel like this Fallout 76 situation is like the biggest. It doesn't look good. Like, no one's looking forward anymore to Starfield because Starfield is now Outer Worlds.
Well, they doubled down on the engine too. They're like, yeah, we're making Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 with this engine, and it's like,
oh, what did Todd Howard say? Yo, we had teams from Elder Scrolls Online. We had teams from Doom, ID Software. We had everyone working on this game.
I mean,
and bro, like, was it like one person? Was it like the janitor in those studios? Like, who was working on this game? Because this game is a disaster. Like, I mean,
this is it's made by the Bethesda main team, though. I mean, they keep. I don't.
So they made this, and just to show you how shitty they are. If you haven't been following, I'll give you one example. This recently, I think December 4th, they released a huge patch, and it was supposed to support ultra wide, or is it ultra HD?
Ultra wide.
Ultra wide. So there was a fix that someone looked into the INI file.
Wasn't it the field of view sliders?
Yes. Yeah. So it was they went to the INI file and they fixed it. Like the view, like this was like somebody on some random.
This was before the patch, right? Yeah.
So they took that same fix and just patched it in. They didn't put their own thing into it. There's still no way to physically do anything. The ultra wide, I think, is still 1200 by 1600. Yeah. Like, it looks really crappy. They didn't do anything. Yeah. And
so this is. I feel like I'm just gonna say I've been a Bethesda hater for a long time because I think they're a company that I don't feel like the design of their games is anything special.
It's not.
No, and I think games recently have exposed that fact because I think the problem is there were not a lot of people making the kind of games that Bethesda makes. I think people love the style of game that Bethesda makes. I think it's just like back when Skyrim came out and Fallout 3 came out, there were not a lot of people making those kind of games.
Yeah.
So they weren't competing with anybody, so everybody just was like, oh, these are the best games of this type, right?
Yeah.
And I think more recently, this has become a very popular genre where you have The Witcher 3, MGS5, all the Assassin's Creeds that have come out, you know, and a lot of them are more higher quality now, too. Like, people are seeing that these games, they don't even take as long to make, and they're way better than anything Bethesda's making. And I think this company's in a bad spot because, first of all, their engine is killing them. Like, clearly they cannot make a stable game on this thing.
They really need to upgrade it on the report. But that's neither here nor there.
So you've got that, and then your games at the same time, from a design perspective, aren't even as good as stuff coming out contemporarily, like with your game. I mean, Witcher 3 came out 6 months before Fallout 4, and it is a vastly superior game to Fallout 4 in every imaginable way. Like the way it looks, the way it plays, the way the quests are designed, the way the world is designed, the storyline, everything. All of it. It's just a better game straight up. Yeah. And it came out before Fallout 4 did.
Yeah. Like I think Bethesda, and you mentioned this like this wasn't on the podcast, but just in casual conversation. You said that they rely on their name, and they are relying on the Fallout name. They are relying on the Elder Scrolls name. But now, I mean, that pushes their numbers. You know,
it does. The game's still selling. Let's not. Let's not say they're still selling millions of copies of this game.
But there are millions of players who like, I don't want this shit anymore.
But they have severely damaged the Fallout brand.
Yeah,
by making this game a Fallout
game. I can't foresee another Fallout game coming out for a long time. Like,
when are they going to make it? They've already announced the next 2 games, and they're not going to be out. Like, Starfield bare minimum is not going to be out till 2021. Probably 2020 at the absolute earliest, but I sincerely doubt that. And then if 2021 is the true date, that means Elder Scrolls 6 probably isn't coming out till 2024 or 2025. So then you have a Fallout game after that. When is that coming out? 2028? 2029? I mean, we're looking 10 years from now.
You know what I predict? I predict they're going to cancel Starfield once they see Outer Worlds.
You think so?
If Outer Worlds comes out and it's critically acclaimed, they're going to cancel Starfield.
Man, you could. I mean, I could see that. I could totally see that if it's a similar kind of game. I mean, we don't know what Starfield is. We don't know what. We don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's a
space
Fallout.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it is because Bethesda. This is another knock. This is another knock on them for me is that they make the same game with a different skin.
Yes.
Fallout and Elder Scrolls are the same fucking game. One's fantasy and one's a post-apocalyptic. Like, so I don't disagree with you. I think Starfield could literally just be Fallout in space. And if that's the case, then yeah, they're in trouble because I feel like Obsidian's going to make a good-ass fucking game, and it's going to come out a year before Bethesda's game comes out. So what are we looking at here? Like, I feel like this company's in trouble. Like, their dev team, they're a publisher. Like, Bethesda is a publisher on top of it. So this is just their primary dev team that's associated with their studio. But I feel like this development team is in trouble. They need to prove themselves. Like, their next game, if it is Starfield, or if it's not Starfield and it ends up being Elder Scrolls 6, really needs to impress. Like, I'm not going to say that they're going to close down or anything like that.
No. But I don't want them to close down. I don't want any game company to close down. I want them to be successful, but they need to learn their lesson. Like, we as gamers, and this is on us, and I'm turning this back on us, we have to stop supporting these products because
I will say personally, I don't. The last Bethesda game I bought was Fallout 4, and I've never bought a Bethesda game otherwise.
But that's just in general. Like, we get upset with these games, and that's one thing I will say. Like, a lot of people have changed in the past. We'll buy the games, we still complain about them, but now gamers are speaking with their wallets because we understand. Yeah. Our money talks. I mean, EA did stocks drop, everything. Like, we're in their pockets now. We're watching them just as much as their investors are. Probably some of us are their investors. I mean, because they're gamers of all, hierarchies and stuff like that. They're rich gamers and they're mediocre gamers, poor gamers, whatever. But gamers are everywhere. There's not just this one blanket of gamers of people sitting in their mom's basements and whatever. And I feel like Bethesda in general needs to understand that Fallout 76 was a disaster, and gamers are speaking about it, and they're talking about it with their wallets. I mean, there was a video of a guy who got so upset that he couldn't return Fallout 76, he trashed the store. He was that physically upset.
I saw that. I mean, that's not appropriate behavior.
That's not appropriate behavior.
But damn, man. Like, look how bad that game is that you're doing this to people.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, you could see them abandoning Fallout 76 pretty quickly. I imagine support for this game is not going to be long. Like,
I can't see it going past.
I give it 3 months. Probably.
Yeah, I can't see it going past February.
I mean, why? It's like, why would you support it any further? Because unless their microtransactions are selling and the game continues to sell through at retail and digitally, there's no reason to support the game anymore. Like, if they're not making money off it, there's no reason to support it.
It can make a comeback. Like, I forgot what game did that.
Division did this.
Division did that? Okay.
Yeah. It had a surge after release because they actually started, like, improving on the game and releasing quality DLC and stuff.
I mean, and it could have that effect. It could be, the division of its genre. But, first of all, Bethesda was super late because everyone's out of the survival game thing. We're all in Battle Royale now. That's the big moneymaker. Yeah. Survival was like an offshoot of that, but no one really plays that anymore. You got Ark, but Ark does it well. It does it well for what it's supposed to do. You got Rust. I think Ashen is one. I want to say that.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. But Fallout 76 and Bethesda, they are gonna have to rely on their third party games like their Wolfenstein.
That's got a new release next year.
Yeah, and they have to rely on these games to keep themselves afloat. Elder Scrolls Online is doing pretty well.
They'll be fine. I'm not worried about them as a company.
I
am worried about Fallout though. I think Fallout could go in the closet for a long time. You know what? Honestly, from my perspective, that's fine because I don't like what they've done with Fallout. I feel like they've ruined that franchise for me.
They have, personally for me too.
I was a huge fan of the old games.
Yeah.
The old isometric RPGs. Like,
I love I started out with the first person. I told you that. I started with the first persons, and I love the story so much of Fallout 3 in New Vegas. I really wanted to learn more about this world. Yeah. So I did go back and play Fallout 1 and 2. And it took me a while to get used to the combat, but I understood the game was made like 1996, 1998.
Yep.
And after I learned it and I saw the writing in the game, it was like I was like,
Yes,
this game.
they're really rich games. Like
Yeah,
they the lore and just the writing and the way the game was the games are designed too, because the choices in those games, like they they go in really interesting directions.
Yeah.
Like you can die in the middle of the game and literally your game is over. Like obviously you can go back to a prior save, but like they will just kill you if you do the wrong thing. Like it's interesting stuff. So when Bethesda acquired that IP, I wasn't happy about it back in the day. Like I didn't think they would do anything interesting with it then, and they never did for me. Like I've never wanted to play their games.
That's totally understandable. I love Fallout 3. I love New Vegas. New Vegas is what really took that game from me.
But that's made by Obsidian, which are the guys who made the original series. Like, so they understood what Fallout was, and I think they knew how to make the world within the framework of a first-person shooter work, right? And I think that's why a lot of people love their version of the game or love their game, is because they got that, and I think Bethesda doesn't necessarily get that.
They really don't get it, unfortunately. But I mean, I guess that's enough about
Bethesda. Yeah, we're getting a little long in the tooth talking about Fallout. So we're still in our news section here. So moving on. I
don't really think there's any good things. I mean, we talked about that. They are remaking Crash Racing, which is cool.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm not surprised in it.
How do you feel about Epic Store? I did want to ask you about that. We haven't had a chance to talk about that.
So I guess we'll jump around here because I have a story about the Epic Store.
Okay.
Let me find it here. So interestingly, the Epic Store was announced a couple weeks ago, or actually earlier than that, I think. It was sometime early in December, I think. But so the store went live. They announced the store being live at the Game Awards, I believe. Yeah. And it already has a number of games on it. But interestingly, there are already reports, because their pitch with this was that it was going to be a very developer-focused store.
Yeah.
Where the split was going to be 88-12.
Yeah.
The developer takes 88% of the proceeds. They take 12%, whereas Steam is 70% to the developer, 30% to Valve. Obviously, big difference. So one of the other things, though, was that there's not going to be any forums on the Epic Store for games. Meaning, they pitched this as kind of to avoid toxicity and, not give people a place to vent frustrations and go with the developers.
Steam community is really toxic.
They are, but this is a poor decision, though, because we're apparently already seeing the effects of this. So, apparently Subnautica is the free game on Epic Store right now. They said they're going to be giving away a free game every month for the next 12 months, just to get the store kind of going, get people on the store, get people excited. So Subnautica is the free game right now. So people are going on there, downloading Subnautica. However, people are having issues with the game. So where do they go? They're going back to Steam, because that is the place they know of to get in contact with the developers. So Epic's pitch was that they were hoping that people would go to Twitter, would go to the company's official forums. Well, that's not happening. They're going back to Steam because, as I said, that's how people, work with developers a lot of the time on a lot of these PC games, is they talk through Steam. So
it's gaming, man.
it's kind of an interesting development, though, that they're pushing people back to their competitor because they didn't give people an outlet within their store to talk to developers. There's no way to give them feedback. You can't. I don't even know if you can send direct messages to developers through the Epic Store. And I could see this being turned around quickly, that they're gonna turn back on this and actually put forums into it, because I don't think this is a good look. Like I don't think having people go to Steam after buying the game on the Epic Store is a good look for them. Like I understand that they want to be beneficial for developers, but you have to give the consumers something to kind of drive them to you, and obviously the free game is that, but there needs to be some certain amount of usability with your platform in order for people to want to use it. I mean, if this is a thing on every game and this happens enough times, I mean, people are just going to buy the game on Steam. Like they're just going to buy the game on Steam and they're going to talk to developers through Steam, because it's easier to deal with.
I hate Fortnite.
So what do you think about this? I mean, what do you think about their store? I mean, obviously Fortnite's the backbone of the store.
Yeah, so I hate the store. And that's not even rational. I
Nope,
totally understand.
I'm not gonna. I don't know where to go with this, Montrell.
Yeah,
where you go with this?
It's totally irrational, but bro, like, shut up and just make Fortnite. Like, you're gonna make a store.
I mean, I think there's a
There's a
space.
No.
Okay, no.
We have Origin already. We have Ubisoft.
No, fuck all of those. These aren't even relevant to the conversation because those are for specific companies. I'm talking. There's a space within the PC market for somebody who is not who's selling games that are not affiliated with their company to compete with Steam. I think we have a lot of these pop-up sites like Green Man Gaming and all these other fucking sites that sell games, but they just sell them through Steam basically. Yeah. And they're like middlemen to get Steam codes.
I mean, yeah, it's good to have competition.
And I think Steam needs competition because Valve. God, there's so much to talk about with Valve with Steam, but just that, like, on the surface of it, like, they don't know how to run the service, and they don't want to learn. Like, they've been having this fight with the refund thing in Australia a couple of years ago, and it finally led to them having a fucking refund policy. And this will get to the rest of the industry eventually, but the fact that you can't even refund a game is unbelievable to me in any platform. But Steam was like this for the longest time, and so, like, they have their issues, and they're not
to Nintendo.
They're not a perfect platform. Yeah, fuck Nintendo. They're not a perfect platform, but they have, like, there's room for somebody else to come in and compete with them. And I think it's good that somebody's trying. I don't necessarily think Epic's going to be successful with this. They have issues. They need to fix this kind of stuff. But I'm happy that somebody's trying, and I think Fortnite gives them a way to try because it's so huge that it gives them just kind of a base to work with. People are going to be on their store anyways because of Fortnite.
You are totally right.
Yeah.
Like I said, my disdain towards the Epic market is very irrational, and I will not deny that. It's just you know what? You're right. So I'll tone it down. I'll tone my hate down.
Okay.
You're right. Steam does need some competition.
It does.
Or just not it. Ubisoft's thing is not it.
Those are for them only. They don't really. GOG's the only real competitor in the space. Otherwise,
yeah, and a lot of people don't use GOG. A lot of people I know don't use GOG.
It's a little obtuse. Yeah.
But so I mean, if Epic can do what it needs to do, maybe they do need to make a better refund policy, and I definitely think they need a form because toxicity is only.
You need a way to communicate with the company you're purchasing from.
Let's just be honest. I mean, the game industry in general blows toxicity out of proportion. Like, I totally, there are people that's like maybe 10% of the gamers though. Like,
rational. There's a vocal majority, sadly, but
yeah, they're a vocal minority. They're a loud vocal minority.
Vocal minority.
Yeah, they're a loud vocal minority. But it's not everyone. Everyone appreciates games, and you do get feedback, a lot of good feedback to it. But it's just, it's terrible. I mean, if Epic can put that form up, if Epic can have a refund policy, I think this can be a super great competitor for Steam.
Well, developers are already going there. Like,
yeah, that 80-20 deal is really good.
88-12.
Oh, 88-12.
It's insanely good.
Wow.
And the cost of the Unreal Engine is built into that 12 too. So there's a 5% cost. If you use the Unreal Engine to make your game, you have to give Epic 5% of your sales, like whatever your profits are. And with this, if you put your game on their store, that 5% is part of the 12. So normally on Steam, if you say you make your game with Unreal, it'd be you'd pay the 30% to Valve, but then you'd have to pay an additional 5% to Epic on top of that. So you're looking at 65% is all you're taking out of your game, whatever sale you make out of your game. So there's a lot of incentive to go to the store, and developers are already doing it. I know that Skybound, who is finishing up the Walking Dead Telltale series, it's releasing on PC exclusively on the Epic Store. Oh, so they're already getting some
exclusive deals and stuff.
They're already starting to get some developers on there. The thing is my point earlier about consumers. Will they get consumers there? That's what's more important than anything. Obviously, you need games to sell, but you need people there to buy them as well.
I think they will get consumers just based off you have to have the you have to have the Epic launcher to play Fortnite. Fortnite has a huge following.
Isn't the large majority of them like kids?
Yeah.
So are they going to be in the store anyway?
I mean, but a lot of people play it on PC too. I mean, it has a huge following, and
fair enough. Ninja can buy Walking Dead season 5 or whatever season it is on the Epic Store.
Yeah, he's gonna sponsor it. He's like, hey, man, look at me, like,
100%.
I'm playing, Fallout 4 or not Fallout. I'm playing
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead on there, blah blah blah. But I mean,
he'll be on the front page, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you said, it has the potential to be their competitor because we don't need a monopoly. Lord knows we don't need a monopoly in gaming. So yeah, Epic. Even though I do not like Fortnite, and they canceled one of my favorite games, Paragon. Bring that shit back. You bring that shit back, I will.
You're barking up the wrong tree. It's not happening, dude. They're not bringing it back. Somebody else could, but they're not doing it. They moved on, man. Sorry. Yeah. Apologies. All right. Anyways, let's move on. So this is from Dual Shockers. MPDs for November 2018 came out. These are physical sales. Top 20 game physical releases of November.
That's who's up there.
Red Dead Redemption 2, number 1. Call of Duty Black Ops 4, number 2. Battlefield 5, 3. Fallout 76, number 4. Pokemon Let's Go. Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee are 5 and 6.
Really? You guys picked Fallout 76 over Pokemon?
Let me finish reading the list. We'll give feedback in a second. NBA 2K19, number 7. Madden 19, 8. Spyro Reignited, 9. FIFA 19 at 10. Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 11. Super Mario Party at 12. Marvel Spider-Man at 13. Mario Kart 8 at 14. WWE 2K19 at 15.
I am really proud to see Shadow Tomb Raider up there.
God of War 2018 16. Shadow the Tomb Raider 17. Just Dance 2019 at 18. Grand Theft Auto 5 at 19.
Who's still buying this game?
Everybody's buying that game, man. I don't have a copy. I'm sure somehow I'll find it tonight on my PlayStation at some point. And then rounding the list out, Forza Horizon 4 at 20. So anything sticking out to you in this list? I mean, I know you've called out a bunch of shit, but I didn't hear any of it. So what jumps out to you here?
All right, so before I start my shitting on this terrible list, first of all, shouts out to Shadow of Tomb Raider. That game is grossly underrated. It's a very good game.
I've never played any of them. So.
It's not a Uncharted ripoff. They definitely distinguished themselves differently.
I always thought that was an unfair moniker because Uncharted is a super linear game that has really shallow gameplay, and it feels like Tomb Raider is like the opposite of that. Like it's linear, but it's like kind of open.
Yeah.
You can kind of go to different places throughout the game, and the gameplay seems a little bit more like in depth than Uncharted.
It is.
Uncharted's just a third-person shooter. There's nothing going on there. Like it's.
I didn't think it was the thing that stands out for Tomb Raider, and a lot of hardcore Tomb Raider players know, is that the tombs that you can actually raid, they have puzzles to them, and you have to figure out the puzzles. And a lot of people, if you're a hardcore Tomb Raider fan, you know that puzzles is the epitome of Tomb Raider game. Besides the atmosphere and stuff like that, we should kind of take away the atmosphere, like the scary atmosphere of Tomb Raider. But I mean, it's still Tomb Raider in essence. Another game that I just don't understand is Fallout 76. Like,
it's number 4. So as much shit as we're giving Bethesda, game's selling. I mean, we don't have exact copy numbers here, but I mean, it's above Pokemon. So
how Pokemon's a fully fleshed out game.
I know.
I recommend you guys buy that game. If you don't have a Switch, go out and buy a Switch for this game. Especially if you play Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah,
this game will. It made me mad in the NBA 2K. We kind of expected. What I didn't expect, I actually forgot about this goddamn game. Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
I'm surprised that Super Mario Party is anywhere on this list. I don't. Somebody explain how the fuck that happened. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude! The game has like 4 boards. What? How does this game on this list? Who's buying this game?
Ladies and gentlemen, Justin. The pro Mario Party player.
Look, dude, I fucking love Mario Party. I am hardcore for the old Mario Party games. This game, I want nothing to do with this game. Who the fuck's buying this? Clearly, a lot of people, but I've heard nothing about this game. It came out, it got reviewed, and that was the end of it. Nobody's talking about it anymore. Who's buying this shit? I can't imagine. It's got to be parents or something for your kids.
You know what?
Something like that.
I actually forgot about this game until now. I forgot.
That's my point, though. Like, we've never talked about it. Like seriously.
We talked about it one time.
I don't know. But then again, Just Dance is on here. Grand Theft Auto 5, which came out like 18 years ago.
You're still making Just Dance? Who has a Kinect nowadays?
This is on Switch, I think.
This is on the Switch?
Yeah, this game's on Switch. This has been a Nintendo game for years, dude.
Oh, I forgot it was the Kinect game.
This is one of the biggest sellers on Wii U. Like during the Wii U's, like Wii U years.
You don't talk about Wii U.
Well, man, we're a gaming podcast. We talk about anything, so.
Oh my god, Wii U's. Okay, let's not even go on that.
No. We need to stay on topic here. But I don't know. So this list is pretty surprising. The top of it, not so much, but
yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2
I will say Fallout 76 being as high as it is surprising for me. But the Bethesda name, the Fallout name, just carrying them still. Like I think this is going to change. The thing is with this is you start to see these kind of effects the game after the game that was shitty. So it's like
they got their money though.
You'll see the blowback, I think.
They got their money though. They don't care about the blowback.
They did get their money, but the thing is, if they want to be a long-term company, that they can't think like that. You can't just be happy with getting your money. You need your game to be good. You need your product to be good. You need your brand to have a good reputation.
I mean, you're absolutely right. The thing about game companies is they don't fucking care about the long term. I mean, they just don't. Yeah.
Most of them don't. No.
And unfortunately, I feel like now, granted, this is just November, and it did come out in November, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
it was like the 20th or something.
Yeah. So I mean, we and a lot of people were hyped for it. I was gonna buy it first week, but once it released, and I actually did research on it. A lot of people don't do research. Once it released, I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not about to buy this game. So. I mean, it was expected. We expected. I'm actually surprised that FIFA. This is North American sales.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, I don't know. Actually, hold on. I'm not sure. I think this is worldwide.
This is not worldwide. This can't be worldwide. How is Spyro ahead of FIFA worldwide?
Oh, it is U.S. Okay. No, it's U.S. only.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you're right. FIFA would be the top of this fucking list, 100%. But anyways, we can move on because we're piggybacking off of this.
Yeah.
Worldwide digital game sales for November were also released. So I'm just gonna go through the console ones because League of Legends is at the top of PC. We know how that goes.
Toxicity.
So console. Red Dead Redemption 2 was at the top of digital. FIFA 19 was second. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was third. Fortnite was fourth. Fallout 76 was fifth. Battlefield 5 sixth. NBA 2K19 seventh. Grand Theft Auto 5 eighth. Madden 19 ninth. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 10. So I wanted to put this in here because I think it's important to start I'm glad that we're tracking digital now.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a huge segment of the market now. It's really gotten a huge foothold, and just seeing because a lot of this includes, I believe, microtransactions in this list, obviously, because League of Legends is a free game, so it wouldn't be on the list if it didn't include microtransactions.
I'm glad League of Legends is making this comeback.
It's interesting.
It's hit a Fortnite too. I love it.
Yeah, well, Fortnite's on the decline, guys. Sure.
Yay.
Anyways, but Red Dead Redemption 2, being a game, I don't think it had microtransactions until recently.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably just game sales for the month of November, which is pretty impressive, given that FIFA's right behind it on this list, and that game does have microtransactions. Same with Call of Duty. Fortnite is free, so that's all microtransactions with that game. Fallout, kind of a mixed bag. I believe it has loot boxes in it. Battlefield, and NBA. I mean, NBA is probably is another game with microtransactions.
Now, I mean, like I said, we were part of that era where physical copies were a thing. A lot of people now, a lot of kids, they're like, "Yo, why buy a physical copy when I can just download it straight to my shit?" And I mean, some games I do that too. I'm like,
I'm in the same boat. I'm starting to do it now too.
Yeah, I mean, I still like to have a physical copy, just because I like to look at my collection, the case and stuff like that. But
I also like to resell.
Yeah,
if I can.
the resell. Yeah. But I think the digital thing, I'm slowly getting into it. Well, I am into it. I just want to touch on PC real quick.
Yeah, sure.
This is just a real quick thing. What's now on that list that you think should be on that list? And I'm kind of surprised it's not on that list.
I don't know. What is it?
World of Warcraft. They just released Battle of Azeroth.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised.
I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk about WoW a little bit later. Like, it doesn't surprise me. That game is. I mean, it's an old ass game. It is. It's just reality. I'm sorry. It's an old game that.
Well, League of Legends and Dota are 10 years or almost 10 years old.
Yes, but those are quality experiences that have maintained their quality over the years. Like they're not like World of Warcraft is not a game that, in my opinion, has maintained its quality. It's been very up and down in its quality, and also those aren't full price. It's not a full price game. It's $30 or $40 for an expansion for World of Warcraft generally. So, they're fighting on that level too, and their microtransactions probably are not anywhere near as successful as some of these other games on this list.
Yeah, you're right. It's just hard to see a giant fall like that, man. But
it's gonna happen eventually. But all right, piggybacking off that, this is a little bit for December.
Hey.
So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate sells 5 million worldwide in 3 days. That is sold through, not shipped. So that means those are in people's hands. That is a very impressive number for a series that, generally speaking, has not been one of Nintendo's higher sellers in the past. But it's been gaining traction over the years. Every release seems to be better than the last in terms of sales. So
yeah, I think this game, Nintendo hit it out the park with this game. And
they did. They gave me exactly what I wanted with this game.
Yeah.
Every fighter that's ever been in the series.
Not only that, it's a good party game, man. It's a good serious fighting game. Like the fighting game community finally recognizes it as a fighting game.
Yes.
It's a good party game for if you have.
I mean, I want to play it whenever I can.
Yeah.
It's with the people we work with. I just want to play, man.
Yeah, it's just a good overall game, and it's a quality experience. And I think Nintendo is showing, like, with their past couple of games, is almost next to no microtransactions. There are some DLC content.
So yeah, let's get into this though. So this was at the Game Awards as well. They announced Joker for Persona 5 is going to be a DLC character. I don't care about that in a vacuum. It's really the DLC approach for Smash in general. So there's going to be 5 DLC fighters. Joker's one of them. I think Piranha Plant is going to be another one.
Yeah, he was free, but
he's free if you pre-order the Fighter Pass, which is all 5 fighters. I don't think he's going to be free with that. So I don't know if he's included in the 5 or he's separate from the 5.
Okay.
And there's going to be 6 total. But regardless, it's $5 per fighter. I think $25 or $6 per fighter with a stage. And then if you buy all 5 together, you get them for $25, so $1 off each, I think. And
yeah,
I gotta say, I think it's not as bad with this game as Nintendo's been with other games, but Nintendo's been kind of sneakily climbing up there with the DLC and microtransaction practices. I was surprised that Mario Party didn't have DLC. It might. I haven't checked because I haven't thought about that game in 2 months.
Yeah.
But the game released with 4 boards. I was very much expecting to have DLC boards for it because every Mario Party before this has had 6 at launch. So they've been doing this with other games. Fire Emblem in particular is a series that they've been heavily adding DLC to a series, generally speaking, that doesn't really make sense for when you think about it.
They also bastardize the game.
And the DLC destroys the balance in all those games too. It's an unfortunate reality with that series that we're gonna have to contend with the Switch release too, because it's gonna be in there for sure. But I kind of haven't I feel like Nintendo overcharges for their DLC and kind of gets away with it because I don't think a fighter in a stage is worth $5 or $6. Like, to me, that's a $2 or $3 DLC.
Yeah, I mean, we give Nintendo a pass, but I mean, we shouldn't. I don't know because Nintendo in almost all their games they give us a quality experience.
They do.
When I buy a Nintendo game, I know what I'm going to expect. I know it's rare that we get a glitchy Mario game. I mean, Mario Sunshine was pretty glitchy, but it was still a quality game.
That game was glitchy. I watched the playthrough of that on YouTube.
That was
it's hilarious how glitchy it is.
But I mean, that's what that game came out like 16 years ago. I mean,
it was a GameCube game.
But I mean, I think that's why a lot of people let them slide because their games are so full of content. Before you even have to pay to buy the Fighters Pass, you get your $60 out of Super Smash Bros. If there was something with Pokemon Let's Go or whatever, you get your quality experience out of the Pokemon Let's Go thing before you even have to pay.
I agree. I do agree.
Even with like Xenoblade, it had DLC. But you got a quality.
Well, the DLC was a standalone product too. That they sell that on shelves as its own thing. Like it's like a separate game.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't
no. It's a $40 product because I think the scope on that got so large that they just decided to release it separately. Like people who bought the season pass got a steal because they're charging $40 for it. You can go to Target right now and it's on the shelf, like the Torna DLC or whatever. But anyways, back to Smash. Like I agree with you largely in what you're saying, and that's why I don't go at Nintendo too much for this. However, I just think when you like kind of start doing the math on it, though, it's like $25 for 5 fighters and 5 stages, when the game costs $60, and there's 75 fighters or 78 fighters, whatever it is.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
Your value proposition there is a little skewed, in my opinion. I understand that it's extra content that you don't have to have. But I don't know. It's just a little bit of a disparity there for me. If it costs $2 to $3, I'd be more okay with it. I wouldn't annoy me nearly as much as it does. But
yeah, I look at Nintendo sometimes with their content. It's like, it's a Gucci bag. Yeah, it's $5,000. Maybe $1,000 per bag.
That's a good way to put it.
But it's a Gucci bag. People look at it like, oh, you got a Gucci bag. And I got a Gucci bag.
Oh yeah, you got Joker and Smash. Hell yeah, bro. That's dope.
It's a quality experience. So I mean, I do give them a pass. I don't really mind their DLC. Like I said, I don't even have to buy their DLC to get a full quality experience of the game. I don't have to buy their DLC, and that's why.
That's true. That's fair. And I'm gonna full disclosure. I'm probably buying the Smash Brothers. Like I'm gonna be honest. I want them. I already want Joker and whatever else they release. I'm probably gonna want them as well. So, criticism with a caveat. But anyways, all right. So moving on. So the next story. This is the last one I think we have for this week. This is kind of a big one. Is that Kingdom Hearts 3 leaked fully. There were retail copies out in the wild, apparently, and this is starting to spread onto the internet.
Yeah.
To the point that Square Enix released a statement. So, I quote, "We're aware that a small portion of Kingdom Hearts 3 has been circulating online before its official release. We are also aware as to how all this happened. We're sorry to see this cause concern amongst our fans who are excited for the release. The whole team has been working together since yesterday night to investigate what we can do to better this situation, but first we would like to ask that you do not share these videos. The game's epilogue and secret movie, which are the biggest spoilers in this game, are planned to be released at a later date, just in case, so they will not be shown before the game's release. We want everyone to be able to equally experience the full game after its release, so we ask for your continued support on this matter. We're also very grateful that our fans have been warning each other already about the spoilers. Thank you very much.
On Twitter.
We're 1 month out from release. Let's enjoy the game together when it releases on January 29th, 2019. This is fucking crazy that this happened. This happens a lot for a lot of games, but the fact that Square released a statement on it
I knew this was going to happen.
Is the crazy part to me.
People have been waiting for this game for almost 20 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I knew this was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen so far out. But
6 weeks. Like we get street dates broken like a few days before.
Yeah, I thought maybe 2 weeks.
That happens pretty often. Sometimes you'll have in another country like Brazil or something where a game
so
will get...
my thing is I understand it's going to be a huge release.
Yeah.
But what are they doing? That means they're shipping out copies, or they're getting ready to ship.
Already shipped.
And
clearly the street date was broken.
I heard it was some guy who worked for the Xbox factory or something like that who got it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
so it wasn't actually at a store.
No, it was some guy. You know how they actually put the games in the cases and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like the factories and stuff.
Yeah.
So I heard it was like one guy who got like 30 copies, or maybe a couple of his coworkers or whatever, and they start distributing the Xbox version of it. Because some people's friends, they saw on their friends list Kingdom Hearts 3. What the hell? So,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch anything with it. I immediately.
I've been on media blackout with this game since E3.
Yeah.
I don't want to know anything about
I haven't watched any trailers about this game since E3 because I don't want to.
They've been out of control with the marketing.
Oh my god,
there's a new trailer every other fucking day at this point. Like like they've probably already shown the whole fucking game online.
One
already,
part
so.
I was really upset with was they released the trailer when you were fighting Aqua. I didn't want to know. I just thought you.
Hey man, you just spoiled that for me.
But
what the fuck?
You got you.
I mean, I kind of knew because the E3 trailer showed her.
Yeah, but
like,
I didn't want to see the fight. I watched like 30 seconds of the fight.
Man,
but
don't.
I'm not gonna say anything else. But anyway,
look, I'm banning you from talking about this on the podcast going forward because I don't want to know shit about this game. This is one of my most hype releases of this generation. Okay. But
a lot of people are waiting for this game for it to be leaked. It's pretty shitty. I understand people who are like really excited. And I understand probably the leakers thought like, "Hey, I'm doing you guys a favor by showing you guys."
But I don't understand this culture though. Why do you want to spoil something you plan on purchasing? And like people do this with movies where they'll spoil the movie for themselves before they go see the movie, and then they go see the movie and they're like, "Oh, that's exactly what I read online." It's like, well, duh, of course. Like what? Like you're expecting people to like have lied to you in the spoilers? Like why did you go see it then if you're gonna spoil it? So I don't understand this culture where we're so desperate for information about something, whether it be a game, a movie, a television show, that we're willing to go spoil it for ourselves to find things out about it. It makes no sense. Like just be patient, wait for the game to come out and experience it together with everybody else. Like that's what I'm doing. I don't like. That's what I want to do. I don't want this spoiled for me at all. Like I don't want to know anything else about this game.
Spoilers have. I mean, this is totally related to this game, but I mean, or this topic of spoiling. I feel like there's no secrets in games. Like it was one game that recently came out that people were just like, "Yo," they were talking about it like at their. Like, oh, I think you can do this. I think you can do that. It wasn't Smash Bros. It was another game that came out, and people were talking about it like on the playground. Like that's how I felt like when that game came out. I can't remember the name of the game. I know Smash Bros. Is kind of like that now. People trying to figure out who to unlock and things of that nature.
Well, yeah, Smash is another one actually. This is a good example of. Is that Nintendo does this to themselves with this, where they try to get people hyped by showing all these fighters. I don't want to fucking know who the new fighters are. Isn't that part of the fun? Like that it's like a secret. Like that was like one of my most hyped things with Melee when it came out. Is that I didn't know who the fuck was in the game. Like I knew it was gonna be the 12 from the original game, and then there were 13 other fighters. I had no idea who they were. And when I was playing the game and I was unlocking them, you know how excited I was when I saw like fucking Roy and Marth and shit, and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? They look awesome. What is this Fire Emblem series? Like when I saw that, or I saw like what's another example? Falco in there. Like it's like, oh, awesome, dude. Like characters that I really like from series. It's a fun surprise. It makes the game, it enriches the game. When you know that before the game, and this is killing me with Smash Ultimate, is that I know everybody in the game. It's not really fun to unlock them. It's kind of just a fucking chore. Like it's not like
that's exactly how
it's kind of annoying. Like I don't even care. It's like there's no surprise. There's no fun element to that. It's just like I'm just doing it.
That's kind of our fault.
It is our fault. Yeah, 100%. We're too ravenous for this stuff. Like there's so many games coming out. I don't have time to look this information up. I don't care. Like the game comes out and it comes out. Like Spider-Man came and went, and I haven't even played it yet.
Man, dude. In Smash in particular, like the spoilers, people were like raging that their favorite characters weren't, and like so it's like as the game company like Nintendo, what did you do? Did you tell them like, hey, we got all the fighters in there? Or you tell them like, hey, you just unlock what you unlock. Yeah. So it's kind of like you're playing the slippery slope. I think they had to did the safest thing, which unfortunately for us, they did spoil it. And they're like, hey, we got everybody in there. So,
well, no, that's all they needed to do, though, for me. That E3 presentation where they were like, that presentation was really well done, where they're like, we have this character, and this character, and this character, and this character, and every fucking character. That's it. That's all I needed. I was super hyped after that. I didn't need to know that Ridley was in there. I didn't need to know that King K. Rool was in there. I didn't need to know any of those characters.
I agree. Those characters, they should have announced.
They should have kept the lid on those.
Characters. Yeah.
And
then once people were locked, I'm like, oh shit, Ridley's in there. Oh
yeah. Dude, you know how awesome that would have been? Like having that announced. They announced Ridley that same presentation that they initially announced the game, and it's like, I get it, but what you said was enough for me, like to get me on board.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I can play every character that's ever been released in Smash Brothers. Ice Climbers is back. Hell yeah, I'm all in on that. So I don't know.
I think which they actually have been doing a good job with Kingdom Hearts, but I feel like they should have kept the lid on. They should have. What games should do from now on? Like, if you're gonna release a game like Kingdom Hearts 3, show the previous worlds. Like, bro,
we know every world that's in the game.
If we had discovered though, Toy Story was a world. Like, think how the reception that would have got when people actually had their hands on the game.
You're just playing the game. You have no idea Toy Story's in the game.
Exactly.
And you get to Toy Story and you're like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Sora looks like a wind-up toy. Oh my god! Like it's like that. That is a magical experience that I feel like is lost now. Like, we don't have that anymore. Like, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, that was, like, we didn't have the internet. So, like, knowing anything about a game was exciting.
Exactly.
But we've taken that to such an extreme now that we know everything about a fucking game before it comes out. And I have an issue with that. It frustrates me. A lot of games, I'll watch their initial trailer, and that's it. Once I'm like, I'm in on that game, I don't want to see anything else. I want to have an authentic experience.
I really wish I could remember the name of that game. It just recently came out.
Like, dude, trying to stay spoiler free on Nier Automata was one of the hardest fucking things I like. Anytime I saw anybody mention Nier, I instantly closed the webpage because it's just like people just jump into this shit. They just jump into spoilers. Like, you can't. Like, it's impossible to avoid. I got very fortunate with Nier that a lot of the major moments in that game were not spoiled, but it's like with stuff like this, like Kingdom Hearts, I'm just like, man, I don't even want to go to these web pages and like go to any of these sites because they will just casually drop things that have been known for months that I don't know, and there you go, I'm spoiled. Like, it's a spoiler. Like,
yeah, I mean, I had to mute some stuff on my Twitter and everything like that because I mean, everyone's amped about the game, but dude, just let it rock. Like, some games, I think, and I understand that's why they allow. I think Jason Schreier, obviously, he was upset about like this. He was talking to Young Gear about how they make people sign these what are they called, DMAs or something like that? NDAs. Yeah. They make the developers and stuff sign those because they don't want anything leaked or don't want to talk about anything. But I feel like it's necessary. I mean, like Anthem, for example, right? That game may come out and it may be some shit they never fucking showed us before. And we're like, oh shit.
I'm sure there will be. Yeah. I'm sure there will be. Yeah.
And I think we need more of that in games. We need show us what we want. Gameplay. Oh, okay, that looks cool.
And just go away for a while.
Yeah.
Just go away.
Just go away.
Like, just go away, go silent. To Bethesda's credit, back in the day, they've gotten worse about this now because I think they were worried about Fallout 76. But Fallout 4, they announced at E3 and they released it 6 months later. Like, I want more of that. Yeah. Where like we don't know about a game until it's about to come out. Like, that's the kind of hype that I like.
Yeah.
I
totally
it's like holy shit, this game's announced and it's coming out in 6 months. What? Awesome. Like, that's what I want.
Okay.
So.
The game I was thinking about was Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was thinking that when you were talking about it.
Yeah, when that game dropped, people were walking around talking about, hey man, did you know you can do this? Hey man, did you know you can do that? The internet was talking about it, but it was like you were on the playground when you were talking to people on Twitter, on various forums, because there was so much shit to do in that game. They showed you very little of that game.
Yeah.
And the amount of shit that you can do just by yourself, it was phenomenal. Yeah. And people were just like, hey man, this is, I'm going to work and people were talking about it. And I think that game really hit it out the park as far as like showing what you can do. This is what we got, guys. We know the game is going to sell off his name, but let's give them more. Let's show them. Let's not show them anything, we know the game's going to sell off that. So let's move on now.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do wish we'd have a little bit less of that stuff, but it is what it is. That's kind of the culture we live in now. So that's all we got for news. I think another segment going forward this week is kind of light. Is we're going to kind of go through the game releases for the week.
Yeah, it's not really too many good. I mean,
so
I don't want to say not good games, but
not well-known stuff. But so this looks like 9 games this week coming out. Zwei, the Argus Adventure on PC, Pipe Push Paradise on the Switch, Omega Strike on the Switch, Super Treasure Arena on Switch, Arrow Complete Edition on Switch, Abyss on Switch, Uncanny Valley on Switch, Odium to the Core on Switch, and then Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends Complete Edition on the Switch.
8?
Yeah.
Wait, this is the Extreme, so that means that there are other versions of Dynasty Warriors out there. This is the 8th version of the Extreme.
Well, this is the Switch version. This game came out last year on PS4 and Xbox, so...
Who are buying these games?
Well, I want to make a point about this because it's just like we were looking through the list from the rest of the month, and last week there were, I want to say, somewhere in the realm of 30 games coming out.
Really?
In the middle of December, and these are mostly probably indies, like small games. It is absurd how many games are coming out every week. This is crazy. This is Christmas week that 9 games are coming out. Who's buying this shit? Who thinks anybody's gonna buy these games? I don't know. I don't know what any of these are except for Dynasty Warriors, and that's just a re-release of a game that came out last year. Like,
I think we're approaching the oversaturation of the game.
I mean, we've been at the oversaturation. It's just like this is like, what are some of these games? I don't even know what any of these are. The only reason I know is because I'm actually looking to see what was released. Like,
that's just my problem with indie games, man. Like, of course, probably some of these aren't like retro style games, but a lot of them are just retro style games. And I'm like, bro, I already have these games.
I just don't know what they're marketing to.
Yeah,
like, I mean, they're not marketing clearly. Maybe they are, and I'm just not seeing it. But I don't know. Yeah, some of this stuff is. I mean, I've never heard of any of these besides Dynasty.
There is an audience for like indies who just look at.
There are. Indies. Yeah, no, there definitely are people out there who all they play are indies. Yeah. But yeah, I mean. That's it for the game releases. You have any other thoughts on those?
No, I mean, this week? Shout out to the indie developers, man. Keep doing what you guys are doing. I just wish, I don't know, you guys get a little more recognition. And
as we're shitting on
as we're shitting on them. Also, like, I mean, I know you guys are trying stuff new, but step away from that retro shit. Like, that phase is gone. I know a lot of people. I grew up with the retro style.
I mean, at this point, I feel like it's a genre. I don't know how much of it we need.
Yeah, like I feel like because you guys corrected me, I thought 90% of the indie market, but I'll say like 60% of the indie market though. It's still like that retro style that people. And I understand those are easy to make because these are small teams.
Yeah.
And but I just feel like, man, like if you're gonna do something, just go all out and do something ambitious that we've never seen before. And I know that's a lot coming from like, you know, no money, but I don't know, man. It's only so many Shovel Knights we can have out there, you know. It's only so many of those.
Well, we got plenty of Shovel Knights.
Yeah, it's only so many. Of
those. Their next DLC coming out soon.
Yeah, so, but yeah, man, I congratulate you guys. But if you guys really want to like break it to these big 3 publishers and stuff, you gotta bring something new. If you want to grab these casual audiences, you gotta bring something new because.
Well, they're just getting lost in the shuffle. I'm sure all those. Most of those were releasing on Switch. I mean, the Switch is just inundated with these indies at this point. Like, how do you find these games on their store? Because their store page is a mess.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
It's horrible to find anything in there.
But that's my thing too. If they want to reach the casual audience, like if they want to reach like our boss, like they're not because they're just gonna buy the NES Mini. You know, like that's what I got. That's my retro game. They're not gonna like. I don't know. Well, let's get off this because that would be a whole different story.
All right. So yeah, that's it for game releases. So all we got left is our we're gonna be doing topic of the show every week. So this week we decided this was kind of a big thing for the two of us when BlizzCon happened this year. So our topic this week is kind of gonna be an overall just state of Blizzard conversation.
Yeah.
We're gonna frame it around BlizzCon because BlizzCon is kind of what kind of keyed off this whole thing for us. So, for people who didn't know, BlizzCon happened early November. I think it was November 2nd. Blizzard announced a few things. So, to go through it, I think they started the show with Destiny. That's Activision kind of just getting in there, getting their little plug in there. I'm sure we're going to see more of that going forward as Activision gets more involved in Blizzard, because we're going to talk about that further here as well. So other things, I think there was a new Hearthstone expansion announced. I don't play Hearthstone. I don't think Montrell does either. We're not super into that, but it was announced. I think there was a WoW patch detailed as well. Or no, it was World of Warcraft Classic. That's right. World of Warcraft Classic didn't get a release date, but it kind of got a release window of summer next year. I do plan on checking it out. I'm a big Vanilla WoW
huge Vanilla
fan.
WoW fan.
Yeah, huge Vanilla WoW fan. It's probably my favorite incarnation of World of Warcraft, so I will definitely be checking that out.
I'm more of a Burning Crusade kind of guy, but
I like Burning Crusade as well. Anything after that can go suck a dick. It's all trash.
Hey man, Lich King wasn't bad.
It was the beginning.
Lore wise,
it was the beginning.
Lore wise, I know you hated it.
It was the beginning of the end.
It
was the beginning.
Lore wise, I know you hated it, but
I mean, lore wise, it was okay. It just was kind of the beginning of their bad tendencies with the way they wrote Warcraft. But they also announced Ashe, a new Overwatch hero, and everybody flipped out about that naturally because she wasn't black. So that's pretty typical at this point. There was because there was supposedly a black character that they're planning.
Yeah, they hinted at least 3 black women character or black female characters. But they decided to go with Ashe.
Well, they had already had Ashe in development, clearly.
Yeah.
And they were much further along with her, and I think this was always the plan, was to release Ashe first.
Now, just as a disclaimer, they do have a lead designer. She is black.
Yeah.
A lead character designer. She's black. She designed Mora? The robot. The one that can do everyone's moves in Overwatch. The robot girl. The robot lady.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like this robot that can do everyone's moves.
Oh, is that a new character?
Yeah, it came out like a couple months ago. Maybe last year.
Anna?
Is it?
No.
Is it Anna? It's like a robot.
That's the sniper.
It's a robot.
I haven't played Overwatch in forever.
Yeah, but she designed that character.
Well, I mean, the game's already got a black female character in Symmetra too. So
Symmetra's Indian.
Indian?
Yeah,
Is she?
Symmetra's like Egyptian or Indian.
Okay.
Pharaoh's Indian. I know that for sure. And then the other one, Anna, I think that's her name, the sniper. She's like Egyptian or Indian.
Is she? Okay.
So they don't legitimately have like a black woman per se, like of African descent.
Yeah.
So that
it's coming.
But yeah, it's coming. So
I think people just
because technically Lucio is not a black character. He's a Brazilian.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. So well, that's his nationality, but he looks black though. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean. I think people didn't have quite an issue with that.
I don't know why people are going to Overwatch for this. It's one of the more diverse games.
It's one of the most diverse games I've ever seen, and it's not shoehorned in. It makes sense.
Yeah,
you know?
I just wanted to mention it because it happened. It always happens with this stuff, but this is one of those games where I just be patient, guys. You're gonna get it. Blizzard wants diversity to be in the game, so just.
I mean, I understand.
Be patient.
I understand from a. Okay. I'm at a crossroads with it. I understand from a black female's perspective that there are not a lot of black female leads in these games. They're either like side characters or sidekicks.
Yep.
And I understand that just coming from minority representation is important. I, however, don't feel like it's as important as everyone's making it out to be. Like I said in one of my tweets.
I mean, it'll happen. It's just going to happen organically over time.
That's what I want. I want it to happen organically.
Yeah.
Over time.
Because wasn't Nadine a black female lead in the Uncharted DLC, the Lost Legacy?
She was a sidekick.
Wait, weren't they kind of co-leads in that game though? I didn't play it, so I don't know for sure.
I thought she was a sidekick, but yeah, you may be right. You may be right. I didn't really play it like that, so I can't really give my 2 cents on that. But I know.
So I mean, they do exist. It's just they're not super prevalent.
They're not super prevalent at all. I will admit that I can only name a couple of black female characters off the top of my head, like Master Raven from Tekken 8, 7, 8, whatever. That's maybe if you want to say Nidalee, she's kind of blackish in League of Legends, but I mean they are grossly underestimated because I was thinking about it and I was kind of going hard on it. I'm like, well, they are kind of grossly underestimated or underrepresented. But like I said, guys,
but Blizzard, I feel like Blizzard's not the company to get mad at.
Yeah, they're definitely not the company to get mad at this.
They do this the right way. Like they don't like. I don't feel like it makes sense in Overwatch the way they do it.
Yeah.
And they've already teased the character. It's not like the character got canceled. Like it's not like Ash is taking the place of that black female character. The character's still coming.
Yeah.
That's why it's annoying. That's why it annoyed me that people were so up in arms about this. Like you're just being impatient. Like
just
let it happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, with Overwatch, the game's so freaking diverse. It doesn't it doesn't make any sense. With other games, that could be a thing. But my only issue is when I said on Twitter, if we're gonna do this diverse, it's not that I had an issue with forced diversity. It's the issue that when it was diversity in these games, they were written terribly. So I would rather have no diversity than a terribly written game around diversity, because as a minority, it's rather insulting to shoehorn this black character in because everyone needs to know that he can.
When it's not natural.
Yeah, like it's not a natural thing.
And they're just shouting at you. Yeah, I'm black. Yeah, I'm black.
Yeah, like or I'm gay or I'm straight or whatever. Like we don't need to know. It just needs to happen.
It just needs to be more natural. Yeah. It's so, like it needs to be something that people don't bring up.
I
like that. That's how well done it needs to be. Like it's so well done that nobody even talks about it.
Spider-Verse did it.
Yeah,
the exact way I thought it should be done.
Yeah,
we had our main character who was black and Latino. Then we had Spider-Gwen, who's a woman. Spider-Man, a woman, Spider-Woman, and then we
wasn't Miles Morales.
Yeah, that was the lead.
Yeah, okay.
Miles Morales was the lead, and we had the original Peter Parker, and then we had a Asian female Spider-Woman. So I mean, we had different variations, but they never once mentioned, hey, I'm a woman Spider-Man, or hey, I'm this, or they let us see it. Like
there weren't even like jokes about it, no like quips or
no quips
like
about it.
Okay.
Like they let it talk through their action.
Show by doing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It was written well, and I think a lot of games and other games should take note from this, and Blizzard should take note from it as well, which they are doing.
They
actually,
do, yeah.
With Overwatch. So as far as
Warcraft has been filled with these kind of storylines of like minorities within the world of Warcraft, like being empowered or having power or trying to find their place in the world, things like that. Like that is littered throughout the entire that's what the orcs are all about, is trying to find their place within a world that they don't belong.
Yeah.
You know, so Blizzard's been doing this for a long time. It's like I don't know why people go at them for this. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
yeah, and I think that's why I get so mad with like the culture right now, is because people, they come into the culture, and I welcome everyone to this culture.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But if you're gonna come in here to try to push,
you have to know the history.
Yeah, if you're gonna come in here to try to push an agenda without having the knowledge, of what you're like.
Yeah, like it's and this is like going off a little bit off topic, but it's like with Star Trek. Like Star Trek had these topics of different sexualities and things of that nature way back in the 90s when people weren't even thinking about this type of shit.
Yeah.
And then now with the Star Trek, now you can tell there's like a agenda getting pushed and whatever, but they don't know the history of Star Trek. They're just trying to push it because it's the wave right now.
Yeah.
When Star Trek has always been about pushing boundaries as far as race, sexuality, and things of that nature, political things. They just did it in a way better way. Yeah. But getting back to Blizzard, in my opinion, as far as probably the only praise they're gonna get from me, as far as diversity wise, they're throwing out the park with a lot of their games. I appreciate that, and keep doing what you're doing. And as far as that. Now
let's get back to BlizzCon. So outside of the Overwatch stuff, they announced Warcraft 3 is getting a remaster. This wasn't a huge surprise, but it was nice to see it. I'm gonna get more into this once we get into the discussion. But then the big thing that came out of BlizzCon was a new Diablo game was announced. Everybody's hyped for Diablo 4. We're all ready for Diablo 4. Everybody wants Diablo 4, and guess what? It's not Diablo 4 you're getting. You're getting a Diablo mobile game. and it's going to be made by a Chinese developer, not even made by Blizzard. So
wait,
you
don't have a cell phone?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure if you follow games in any capacity, you saw the memes that came out of this, you saw the outrage that came out of this in some form or fashion. You had to have. If you didn't, you either don't follow games or you're living under a fucking rock, because it was everywhere for weeks. The entire month of November was full of this shit. Like Fallout 76 was a disaster, not even close to what came out of BlizzCon, in my opinion. Like this was one of the worst public relations meltdowns I can remember ever happening. Like, it's insane how mad people were about this. And to get into the topic of the state of Blizzard, I feel like it's justified. Like, it was a poor choice on their part to announce a Diablo mobile game when everybody was expecting a Diablo 4 announcement at BlizzCon. And BlizzCon traditionally doesn't have a lot of major announcements generally. I don't feel like they need to have a conference every year. I just don't understand the point of it. They're not a big enough studio where they have enough announcements to make an exciting conference. They don't. And this shows it. They didn't need to announce this game here. Nintendo doesn't do this shit when they have mobile games. They don't put it in a Nintendo Direct. Like, that is like focused on console games. They make it its own thing on YouTube. They don't shove it in the face of their core audience. Like, they put it elsewhere. That they're way smarter about this than the way Blizzard was. The fact that Blizzard doesn't get that, because they came out and they still were like, "Oh, we don't understand why people were so mad. Like, we were really surprised by the outrage of this. Are you fucking kidding me? You're a PC developer, and you're gonna sit here and tell me you don't understand why people are mad at you for making a mobile game and announcing it at your biggest conference of the year?"
You know what? I really want to congratulate. I really should give the gamers a shout out for no, I really do, because
this was fun. This was a fun.
This was fun, but the way gamers handled this news was astounding to me, because you had like maybe one or two offshoots of rage, but the majority, 95% of the community, the game community, handled this with tactfully. They're like, "Hey man, like, Blizzard, yo, this can't be going on," or everyone gave this.
Or this wasn't the way to do this.
This wasn't the way to do this, and like, it's not the problem that we're releasing mobile games. The problem that they handled this very respectfully, in my opinion, the game community, and I feel like every news outlet blew this shit out of proportion as far as
they don't get it.
Criticism.
They didn't get it, and this event is the reason this podcast is happening. This thing was so poorly covered by games media and by the people that I listened to. It was so poorly covered by them that I felt like I had to talk about this.
Yeah.
I have to fucking talk about this because they don't get it. They don't understand why people are mad. Because this isn't about the fact that a Diablo mobile game fucking exists. It's not necessarily the reason people are angry. It's that there are years and years and years of buildup with Blizzard that led to this moment that it's just a release of frustration. I am a Blizzard fan going back to, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, I'm a Blizzard fan going back to my first fucking video game, which was Rock and Roll Racing, which was one of the first games they ever made. And it was a Super NES stupid isometric fucking racer where it's like this futuristic racer where you're jumping over fucking ramps and shooting missiles at people and shit. It's a fun ass game, but it's like I've played so many other games. Like, I played that game. My first foray in PC ever was with them, with Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, StarCraft, even Diablo 1. I didn't really play Diablo 2, but then World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, Diablo 3, Hearthstone, all their games, Overwatch. I've always been a Blizzard diehard. And I've bought almost every single one of their games on release day. Even Overwatch. I bought that game on release day, even though I didn't play it that long. And
I think people will say, "Well, Justin, you feel entitled to."
But that's not what it is, man. It's super, like,
I'm just telling you what they would say.
I understand, and that's a really insulting thing to say. I'm gonna be frank, because that's not what it is. I'm not saying Blizzard can't make a Diablo mobile game. That's not what frustrates me. What frustrates me is that they don't understand their audience.
They're so disconnected.
They're so disconnected from me. They don't know me anymore. The fact that they would go to their conference, and show this game and then be so fucking baffled that people are upset and be like, and then antagonistically be like, oh, you guys have phones, right? You guys have phones. Like I'm sorry, like that guy that was there, I forget his name. Was it Wyatt Chang or whatever? Yeah, I feel bad for that guy, and he was kind of just working on the fly. They kind of put him out there to die. Put him out there to die, but at the same time, he didn't really do a great job with the situation he was in because he just started going at people like you have phones, guys, right? Like yeah, bro. Of course we have fucking phones. It's not the point. Like it's you're taking it because to me this starts really with their acquisition by Activision way back. Is that this is what I was afraid of back when they were acquired 12 years ago or 11 years ago.
Everybody.
And people were always saying, like, I remember, God, I still lived with my parents at the time when that happened. And I remember when StarCraft 2 was announced as 3 games. And nobody wanted it to be 3 games. Nobody understood why it was going to be 3 games. I don't even think Blizzard understood why it was 3 games because it was completely unnecessary. And that ended up meeting itself out over time. Like those 3 games were completely pointless. Like, but the second 2 releases, nobody gave a shit about. Like nobody cared.
I forgot
nobody
those games came out. Yeah.
I did too. I never played them. Didn't give a shit about them. And when that was announced back like 10 years ago, I was like, man, Activision's already showing their influence. Like, old Blizzard wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. You're right.
They would have made Warcraft 3, basically, but StarCraft 2. You know, with like your full campaign for all 3 races.
Yeah.
And it's like 10 missions each, and you would have had a fully fledged multiplayer and everything. But that already didn't happen. Then you have Diablo 3, Real Money Auction House. I mean, the most overt cash grab imaginable, right? Like, you break your game basically to try to make money off of people's gameplay. Like, it's crazy. It's like Battlefront 2 kind of shit.
Yeah.
And that was a disaster, and people hated it. And people told Blizzard they hated it, and to their credit, they fixed it. They took it out quickly, and then Reaper of Souls was an adequate expansion that made that game very playable.
But I think that was old Blizzard.
I think that was the remnants of old Blizzard.
Yeah, I think as of right now, the remnants of old Blizzard are gone, like completely gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Morham's gone. I mean, he stepped down in October.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, the last of these guys are going. Like they're leaving.
Yeah. And I mean, I started with Blizzard. I don't have as much of a history, but I did start with Blizzard in 1998 with StarCraft. StarCraft 1, and then I purchased Brood War, and I love those games, and I wanted more of those games. I played Warcraft 1. I didn't play 2 or 3 that much. Then I played World of Warcraft, and I was hooked to those games. And then I played Overwatch.
Did you ever play Diablo?
Yeah, I was about to mention those games.
Diablo 3.
I played Diablo 1, which was fucking scary as shit.
Yeah.
Diablo 2, I played that. I didn't play Diablo 3 until it came on consoles after the auction house shit.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah, so, but I loved all 3 of those games. I didn't have a huge tie-in with it, but what was funny about this is just to give you guys a little, story. I announced personally. I said, "Hey guys, what if they announced Diablo as a mobile game?"
Well, we were joking.
Yeah, we were joking about this.
We're at our jobs, like, yeah. Oh my god!
And they fucking did it.
We work with a Diablo hardcore fan, and we were making the joke, about them announcing a Diablo mobile game, and then it happened, and I remember I started laughing, and then I just I put my face in my hands because I was like, oh my god, I have to tell this guy that they literally just announced a Diablo mobile game after we were just fucking with it all day about it, and it was fucked up because his reaction was kind of emblematic of everybody else's. I mean, he was extremely upset, and I was too, and I almost laughed though because I expect this at this point.
Yeah.
Like to continue what I was saying earlier too, like you have Diablo 3, but then you have Hearthstone, which becomes like a complete cash cow, digital card game, and creates a genre basically of these games, and people give that game a pass, but it's basically just a fucking microtransaction factory.
Well, I mean, to be honest, all card games are
No, they are. But the thing is like I don't understand why nobody understood that before like digital card games became a thing. Because those games were literally DLC in physical form before DLC ever existed in video games. Like Blizzard was the first one really to do it in a game format.
Well, they were the first
and be successful with it.
They weren't the first, but they were the first to kind of have a successful run at loot boxes. The first to go around.
Yeah.
They really popularized. That's the word I'm looking for. They popularized.
Are you talking about with Overwatch?
Yeah, with Overwatch.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're the reason we are where we are. Like, that's kind of my point, though. The last 10 years of Blizzard has been full of this shit. Like, this isn't a surprise to me. It's just the end of a road they've been going down for a long time. Yeah. And I wasn't super surprised. I was disappointed. I was a little upset, but this is kind of what I expected of Blizzard now, and that's kind of the point of this conversation, though, is that this is Blizzard. Yes, I'm getting a Warcraft 3 remaster next year. It looks good. I'm really excited about it. It looks like they're doing it the right way, but the future of Blizzard looks extremely grim to me because I don't trust them anymore. I don't know what I'm going to get out of them.
You know what's funny about that is you actually announced that before it was announced. Because you remember you saw the patch notes. You're like, yeah, they just patched Warcraft 3. No.
I saw that in like August. Yeah, they were patching Warcraft 3. I was like, what the fuck? They must be. Montrell, they gotta be doing a remaster or some shit, right? Because I saw patch notes in like August for Warcraft 3, and I was like, what the fuck? They haven't patched this game in like 10 years. Like what? But yeah, it's like, you know, the games I'm most excited about from them, Warcraft 3 Remastered and WoW Classic, are old games. Like games they made back before they were merged with Activision. Like that's where we're at with Blizzard now. That's what excites me from them. I'm not excited about the prospects of Diablo 4. They don't even know what they're doing. Like, they've already canceled it once. According to Kotaku, like, they've already canceled one version of the project, and they're currently working through figuring out what their next version of it is. They don't know what to do with it either. They weren't ready for this BlizzCon with a trailer either. Like, they're not at a point where they're confident they're going to release something to the point where they don't even want to announce it yet. So they don't know what they're doing right now, like, with it. And what's next for Warcraft? After World of Warcraft, or after this Warcraft 3 remaster? Does this remaster mean we're getting a Warcraft 4 potentially? Because if we are,
I think it's to test the waters. I think it's really.
I agree with you, but I actually think this remaster is going to be very successful, and I think it could mean we get a Warcraft 4. But do I want a Warcraft 4? I don't really think I do.
Yeah, if they do what they did with. I think it's going to end up like StarCraft 2. I think Warcraft 4 is going to be the StarCraft 2 of Warcraft.
I just don't. I mean, maybe.
I
just think they'll fuck it up in some other way. Yeah. I like whether it's releasing it as 3 different games, which I don't think they'll do that. But whether they put microtransactions in there, DLC in there, or just the way they design the game, or the fact that the Warcraft lore is so fucked up right now, where do they go from where they are in World of Warcraft with the Warcraft 4? Like, to me, I feel like they'd almost have to break the timeline, do some sort of time travel nonsense to, like, reboot the franchise, because World of Warcraft's lore is so fucked up at this point.
Thanks to World of Warcraft.
Where do you go with Warcraft after what they've done with it? I mean, all the major villains are fucking dead. They're all gone.
They had to bring a couple of them back.
Yeah, they had to, like, revive them. to fucking generate something to create a World of Warcraft expansion out of. So, it's just like, I don't know where they'd go with there. Diablo's in a bad place. StarCraft seems like it's fucking shoved in a fucking closet somewhere. Then they're not touching that shit.
Now announcing StarCraft Mobile.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong though, because dude, they said at one of the Q&As that they're working on mobile games for all their major franchises, which includes StarCraft. So I'm sure you're right. I'm sure they have some sort of prototype for a Command and Conquer-esque RTS game on mobile.
That's actually what I think it's going to be. I really think. The one that got me though was the Pokemon Go style Warcraft game. What the fuck am I gonna be catching orcs? Like,
you're gonna catch Murlocs, man. like, come on, man. You want to catch every version of Murlocs? You got yellow Murlocs, you got blue Murlocs, you got green fucking Murlocs.
Catch a fucking panda, like.
Let's go, baby. Yeah.
What the little dragon things called? Draenei?
I don't know.
Oh my god,
dude, like. I don't even want to. I don't want to even know what they're working on.
But you know what's crazy? Like that report I read is saying that and I understand it. Like work can be tedious and hard, and video games in general. That culture of work or working till you die type mentality is hard.
Well, eventually you burn out.
Yeah, you burn out.
I get it.
I understand, like, the senior developers want a break. And, they want something easy. They don't want to be on another 10 years.
But that doesn't mean you shift your whole company to mobile. Like,
a lot of them say they don't want to be on 10-year projects.
Which I get. It's just like, but you have to understand the company you have, though. Like, in the fans you have. That's the problem, is they don't understand the fans they have.
Well, I think the older people do. I don't think the new Blizzard.
But they're not in power anymore. They're not the ones in control.
I don't think the new Blizzard or even Activision understands why Warcraft was so successful. They don't understand that. They don't understand why Overwatch is so successful. It wasn't because of your fucking loot boxes. It was because people were looking forward to this game. It was actually supposed to be an MMO, and it turned into this. And people were like, "Oh shit, this game's actually really fucking good." And it has a hardcore fan base. To me, the fastest growing hardcore fan base I've ever fucking seen without any story. Yeah. Or it did have a little story, but it's tied on like a background.
I was pretty hard on the game when it came out because it had no content. Yeah. Like it was just a competitive shooter. Like,
yeah, but people loved it.
And to their credit, they built the lore. And the thing is, if I were Blizzard, this is what I think they should do.
Make an offshoot game of it.
Is make an Overwatch game. I told you this before. Make an Overwatch game. It's a single player, story-based shooter, first-person shooter in the Overwatch world with the Overwatch characters. I mean, they're already doing that online with the little shorts they make. They're building a universe there. Just go all in on that. Like, I'd buy that game. I'd be super excited about that game. I think they can make that game too, and I think they can make it. I think they can make it well. So I think that's what they should do. I heard somebody else say that they should go back and make Titan. I don't think they should do that. I don't think they're not in a place where they can do that. I think it would take too long. I don't think it would come out fast enough. I think they could turn around a single player shooter in a year or two.
But that's what they should do with a lot of their games. And unfortunately, a lot of those games get canceled. The greatest example was that StarCraft Ghost game that was supposed to come out, and they canceled it. I just think Blizzard is at the point where they don't want to take any more chances.
Activision seems like they don't want to take any more chances either.
A mobile game is the safest thing you can do.
Is it though? I mean, based on the reaction, is that safe?
We're not their audience. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I totally understand that. Their audience is the Eastern market for that. Because
it is.
They love mobile.
And they're gonna make a shitload of money off that game.
A ton of money.
They are. There's no question about
Warcraft. Warcraft. The movie sold way better over there than it did for us. It makes sense.
Hey, I saw that shit, man.
I didn't mind it, but I mean, it's an movie, but it's so a shit ton. So it makes sense from a business perspective. Like, hey, let's target this audience, and they're doing that. I'm not defending what the hell they did. I'm just saying from a business perspective, it makes sense. But Blizzard without Activision, just Blizzard themselves. Even if you're a new employee there, I'm pretty sure you played their fucking games. I'm pretty sure you heard their fucking games.
I hope you did.
They have to understand, and this is for the writers and everyone. They have to understand, like, there are people more passionate than Justin here. Like, Justin is pretty passionate about it.
I am, but I guarantee you there are people more passionate.
The people that went to that BlizzCon, they didn't want to hear about no fucking mobile game.
I'm not going to BlizzCon.
Yeah, like, I didn't. If I played, I don't even know how much they paid for that. But I'm pretty sure they got paid.
It's a lot.
Yeah, not to mention like all the other expenses like room, board.
Well, that's what I'm saying. All told, you're looking at $1,000 probably just to go for a day.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go for multiple days, you're probably looking at a couple grand, like for the whole conference. Like, good luck.
So I mean, this was a slap in their face to their fans. They're totally out of touch with their fan base. I feel like if any other company had did this with any other product, we wouldn't have seen like the backlash that the industry is giving the consumers.
Well, think about Bethesda. They announced Fallout Shelter at E3. People weren't that mad about that. People were excited about that.
You know why? Because they had fucking Fallout 4 right behind it.
Exactly my point. They didn't end their show with that shit. And they didn't make that their primary fucking showcase.
I played Fallout Shelter.
That's my point about Blizzard, is that they could have announced this game. It would have been fine if they had just followed it up with a Diablo 4 announcement. guess what? If Diablo 4 is not ready, then don't announce this game at BlizzCon. Just make it a YouTube video or something. Just like you said, they're not even selling it to the US. Like, the people they're selling it to are gonna play it anyways, even if you don't announce it at BlizzCon. Like, it's mind-boggling.
That's the thing.
They're damaging their own brand for what? Like, for what? I don't. Like, why would you do this? I don't know. It drives me nuts because I love what this company used to be, but they used to be my favorite developer, straight up, period. Like, I knew when I played their game, it was going to be one of the best games I've ever played. I haven't felt that way in over 10 years, and that's sad to say, but that's just reality now. Like,
I think they've been out of touch with reality for a while because
that's what I'm saying. It's been a long time.
Our next topic, or the same topic, but Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah,
they
which we haven't even mentioned yet, but
they
one
killed
of the most forgettable games they've ever made.
Not only is it forgettable, but they did have a cult following.
They did. Yeah,
they
had an esports.
They had an esports event, and they used to get a lot of views on Twitch and everything like that. But they killed it. They didn't even wait till like the end of the season. They're just like, "Yeah, we're not doing this no more."
Yeah. It was just a blog post, I believe, right? Which is wild. Like,
and people were there are teams, like legitimate teams. Imagine the NFL. And the NFL came out tomorrow, like, hey, there's not gonna be a Super Bowl, guys. Good luck.
Season's over.
Like,
peace.
All these players just don't have anywhere. They don't have any money, no income. Like, this was their lives. So they did that. They essentially did that to their players and to the fans and to streamers. Like, it's a huge economy they just broke.
Like, okay, so we have the Kotaku article up that mentions here that there are legitimately like multi-billion-dollar companies that were invested in making the Heroes of the Storm esports scene successful, and Blizzard just gave them all the finger, basically. Like, these aren't just like some dude in his fucking spare bedroom playing Heroes of the Storm professionally. Like, these are legitimate teams like companies that exist that have fucking like headquarters and make millions of dollars of revenue, and they just gave him the finger, like, hey, fuck you guys, we don't care. See you later. Like, who the fuck wants to? This to me is gonna kill. I mean, their esports team was already a disaster.
It's gonna kill Overwatch. I think it's gonna have an offshoot effect on that.
Who's gonna want to associate with Blizzard now? Like, if the game's not hyper successful, like hyper ridiculously successful, they might just kill it. Like, that's on the table now for any of their games. Like, who wants to associate with that? I just go to Dota. I just go to League.
How many players are in the NFL? How many would you say?
5,000 or 6,000 probably.
5,000 or 6,000?
Yeah. Okay. At any given time.
Okay. They say it's like over 200 pro players.
Okay. Yeah, which is a small number. It's a small number, but it's still there's still a lot of people around those 200 that do things. There's a lot of commentators, people who facilitate the tournaments, who organize the tournaments. So
you think there's like 5,000 active roster players in the NFL?
Not active roster, just overall. Like if you're talking active roster, it's only like 1,000. But
okay, I'll take that number. That's pretty relatively small. The amount of money they're generating. And I feel like this is that 1,000. They probably have some more players that are under that as well. Man. And if you want to know how out of touch they are, so there's this little game we talked about earlier today called Dota 2, guys. So you want to know how Dota 2 was made? Oh, let's tell you how Dota 2 was made. It's made from this other game called Dota. You want to know how Dota was made? Well, it was made from another game called World of Warcraft 3. Oh, and guess who owned World of Warcraft 3? Blizzard. This game was played on their servers, a custom game that was made by some guy that kind of had a cult following, and then it spread to his own genre. On the Blizzard servers, on the Blizzard forums, Blizzard had this in their crutches,
back pocket the whole time.
And instead of
they never saw it, and when Valve acquired Ice Prague, and they made Dota 2 with him, and Blizzard's reaction to that was to sue Valve. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, where companies so obviously missed that they're like fuck, like damn it, why didn't we just do this?
Because they're out of touch.
It was
reality.
But it was like the most obvious thing. Like League of Legends was already a thing at that point in time when Valve acquired this guy. Like League of Legends was out.
Yeah.
It was a game. Like I had played it already, and I was like a player of it. Like this genre was already existing, and Dota was still on Warcraft 3. It was still a thing that was being actively developed for on Warcraft 3. And Blizzard's just like whatever, like and then Valve acquires it. They make a game, and then Blizzard gets butthurt, sues Valve, that fails. So then they're like, okay, fine, fuck it, we'll make our own version of it. And guess what? Their version of it sucks. Yeah. It's a shitty game. It's poorly designed. It's boring. It's like the idea of playing iconic Blizzard characters in a MOBA is cool. That sounds awesome. The way they executed it was fucking awful. Yeah. Like the game is boring. The game's design is poor. I just think it doesn't focus on skill the way the other two games do. Yeah. And that's where MOBAs excel. Is skill. It's skill-based gameplay. Yep. And that is not the way they designed Heroes of the Storm. They designed it to be accessible to everybody. And unfortunately for them, this is them not understanding a market again, is that MOBAs are not meant for people who are not hardcore. Yeah. I'm sorry. People who play MOBAs are hardcore ass players. Like they understand the game, they know the nuances of the game. They know which character counters which character. They just know that shit. I'm sorry, when you're gonna make a MOBA that isn't focused on that stuff, you're not gonna get an audience.
Yeah, and to break it down to you guys, if you guys aren't familiar with MOBAs or whatever, it's more than just an isometric game. It's a live chess match. It's literally.
I mean, it's like a sport, like a physical sport.
Yeah, it's a sport. I mean, people make millions of dollars off this game, off this genre, because anyone can't just jump into this game and start playing, because you have to dedicate time to it. You have to study routes. You have to study different characters. You have to
practice multiple different characters.
Yeah, and it's a mind game. Like if you're a jungler or whatever, that's a position. And they have positions. So if you're like in a certain position, you have to study what your other opponent may be thinking. And then how your other teammates, how that may affect your other teammates. That's why I say it's kind of like a live chess match going on, like a really, really fast chess game. Because you have these mind games that think about what your opponent's doing, not only about your opponent that you're facing immediately, but for other opponents on their team that can affect you and that can do anything to you. So, I mean, MOBAs, and just getting off that, but this game was built on their own engine of Warcraft 3. This game was
StarCraft 2's engine, actually.
Oh, StarCraft 2's engine. Okay. Yeah.
That's where it started. They were going to make a custom game out of it in StarCraft 2, but then it got big enough where they were like, why don't we just make a game out of it?
Okay.
So, yeah.
But like Dota, it was like an offshoot of Warcraft 3. It was tucked on Warcraft 3's.
Oh, you're talking about Dota. Yeah, Dota. Dota was made in Warcraft 3. I was talking about Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about Heroes of the Storm. I thought Dota. Dota was made off that engine, and if you're like, well, the developers, really didn't know about it. Maybe they thought it was just a community game. Like maybe they thought it was kind of like Infection with
They had to know.
Yeah, maybe they thought it was like Infection with Halo. Like how that was just that game ran off an honor system before they actually made it a game in Halo 3, a game mode. Yeah. But this game had tournaments, bro. Like. Fully fledged
in Warcraft 3.
Yeah, in Warcraft
3. In a video game that was completely unaffiliated from the game the tournament was
money
for.
Tournaments, like $50,000 pots. Yeah. It got so big to the point in 2012. I think this is before. When did Dota come out? Dota 2.
So Dota 2 went into early access in 2012, and it fully came out at the end of 2012. Okay. However, the Warcraft 3 version of the game was still developed for at least a year or two after that. Yeah. So this was up through 2013, 2014. They were still releasing patches for the Warcraft 3 version of the game.
Okay, so you following it, Dota 2 came out around 2012, 2013-ish. League of Legends was already out by that time.
2009 was early access. It came out in 2009.
Okay, so
yes, that was my point. It had been out for a few years.
So MOBAs are so big. This genre that was born on their servers was so big that fucking colleges Like, I remember arguing this with my friend in 2012. I wasn't playing MOBAs at the time like that, but yeah, colleges were giving scholarships to MOBA teams, bro. Like, this is a real thing now. Like this is when I was like, this shit is real. And Blizzard still did not approach that team.
I don't even care about that, Montrell. Think about this. They ran Warcraft 3. They have usage numbers of the game, like gameplay tendencies of their players. I'm sure they had statistics showing that a large chunk of their fan base, whatever percentage it was, and I would wager it was over 50%, are logging in and literally just playing Dota. Like, they're not playing ladder. They're not playing anything else. They're playing Dota on their game. I'm sure they had statistics telling them that. So somebody at Blizzard at the time wasn't paying attention or just was like, didn't seem to care, because I'm sure somebody was telling somebody that, somebody important that.
You know what?
And they just didn't acknowledge it.
You know what?
And that is a huge turning point for the company too.
That was a huge turning point.
If Dota 2 was theirs and they had made that game, imagine where we'd be right now.
They were trying to push StarCraft.
They were trying to push StarCraft. That's probably why they ignored it, because they were like, "Oh, StarCraft's huge. We can just make StarCraft an esports game." Problem is, StarCraft 2 is way harder to fucking play than Dota.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to play that shit because it's so complicated. Like, that game is... The level of skill you needed to have to be good at StarCraft 2 is just absurd.
Yeah.
Like, you had to do so much shit by yourself. Whereas with Dota, it's a 5-person team and you control one character. There's no buildings. There's no macro. Yeah. It's literally just micro. Yeah. That's all that matters. And that's way more fun to watch. It's way more fun to play. Like, the fact that they didn't understand that is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like,
I had a dude at my old job. He probably was about 40, 45. And I was watching League of Legends on my stream or whatever. And he said, you know what? I went home and watched that because sometimes they played on ESPN2. Fucking ESPN2. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck was going on, but I was hooked to that shit, bro.
It's fun to watch. It is.
And
it is.
So, just getting back to Blizzard, this is how we should have saw the fall. Well, I didn't see it, but we should have saw the fall in 2012. I didn't see it, but it's...
I mean, as far back as StarCraft 2, I felt like things were changing.
Yeah.
To a negative degree. So, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm like, I predicted this shit, but like, my tendencies with Blizzard changed, and I saw that in myself, and I saw that with others that I knew that played Blizzard games, and it's just been a trend that's been obvious. So when I say that, when Blizzard announced Diablo Immortal, and we were joking about it that day, like, it's kind of predictable at this point. Like, I know what I'm getting with them now. And I've come to terms with that. I think that the problem is the rest of the world hadn't gotten to that point yet with Blizzard, and I think this was a wake up call for everybody that this is what this company is now.
I didn't believe it. Yeah, I mean,
I tried to tell you, man.
But the simple fact that we predicted that, we were joking about it. If we had to put that on the forum, people were like, "Oh, get the fuck out of here!"
Fuck you, man. I mean, the thing is, people don't want it. The thing is, I think a lot of people saw it coming. I think a lot of people just didn't want to accept that was going to be the reality.
Yeah,
that this was going to happen, and I understand that. But this is the hand we're dealt with now, guys. Like, their best games are going to be remakes of games that they made 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, that's what Blizzard is now. Like,
yeah, I can't put it to you guys. I mean, if you're like the first time listener, you don't really listen to video game podcasts, your first time into video games, it's like, say you had a fan, like your best friend was a fan of fucking, I don't know, Ford Motor Company. They love their fucking cars, and it was American made. That's like them taking everything they made and just moving all the factories to like fucking China or some shit. And they're not even making cars anymore. They're making fucking kitchen appliances.
Well, I mean, they're not going to be making sedans anymore, so fuck me. I drive one of their sedans, and I'm pretty mad at them, so this is an apt analogy for me.
They're slowly just making kitchen appliances at this point. They're like, why are you making fucking kitchen appliances for? Where's my Mustang? And they're like, nah, we want this kitchen appliance to sell some more.
This is the future.
This is the future. So like, this is kind of like what Blizzard is doing right now. They're taking all their Ford Mustangs, their Ford Focuses, and their Ford and their fusions, which is their StarCrafts, their Warcrafts, these games that have deep history, deep roots in video games. Almost every player touched some facet of Blizzard. They know of Blizzard. They game companies want to be like Blizzard, or used to be want to be like Blizzard. It's hard for a lot of people to see this game company fall because people are upset, but they're upset because they do not want to see this company fail. But they need the criticism.
They do, and I mean, on this front though, is we've been getting these little stories coming out the past couple months now that Activision's influence has been growing in Blizzard. This is per Kotaku as well, and Blizzard's cutting costs, which makes sense with what we're seeing here. Is that they hired a new, I think it was a new CFO, and she worked at Activision, and they hired her into Blizzard. So she is now a huge power player at Blizzard and has been trying to cut costs at the company for the past few months. And this is resulting in them wanting to make more games with less staff and less resources than they have in the past, which is the wrong direction you want those things going
AKA
in.
Mobile games.
Yes, which is exactly the point, right? That's we're going to start getting mobile games that are easy to make, games that don't require a lot of investment, games that are easy to make but also make a shitload of money, aka mobile games like that's what our expectations should be going forward. Is these are the kind of games we're going to get. Yes, we're still going to get Diablo 4. Yes, we may still get Warcraft 4. God knows in some weird future we might get StarCraft 3. Probably not. Let's be real. But expectation though, 10 years from now, where might we be with Blizzard? Where they're not making those games anymore. They're going to be making mobile games, and they're going to be making cheap ass console games or something like that. And that's not where I want Blizzard to be. And unfortunately, I don't feel like my opinion matters to them. Like I don't know how to tell them.
The money talks, man.
It does, but I mean, if other people buy their games, though, they're just lost in the shuffle. Like where how am I supposed to tell them? I mean, obviously I'm saying it now, but not everybody can talk freely on the internet or has an avenue to speak to them. Like,
yeah, I mean, and I know maybe some of you guys who listen, like, hey, what's the deal with the mobile game? Like, why are you guys shitting on it? It's not that we're shitting on mobile games. I thought mobile games would be cool, but the thing about it is, man, like they make so much money. Like you can think of like Candy Crush.
It's just they're shallow. Like you were talking about, we're gonna get into this more next week.
Yeah,
but it's going from one end of a spectrum to another, where you go from being one of the more hardcore developers on the planet for gamers, the PC market, which is, let's be honest, some of the more like involved gamers there are, then skipping consoles entirely. I mean, not completely. They've made some console games, but going all the way to the other end of the spectrum where you're going to mobile games, which are people who are not invested in video games. They don't invest in hardware. They didn't buy a phone to play games on it. They bought a phone to have a phone, and they just so happen to play games on it. Yeah. They're not buying a $2,000 computer. They're not buying a $400 console. They're not buying a Nintendo Switch. Like they're not buying devices to game. Like so you're catering to that market instead of the market that spends $2,000 specifically to play video games. Like so that's kind of the disparity that we're talking about. And I'm not going to begrudge anybody playing mobile games. I said it today. I bought a mobile game and I'm playing it. It's just the thing is you expect different things from different developers. Blizzard's not a developer that I expect to make mobile games out of. And I think that's true of many people who are upset about this announcement. It's an unfortunate situation. As I said, I don't begrudge them making a mobile game, but it's indicative of a change in culture. And while they're gonna say outwardly, yeah, we're still making all the games you love. We're making Diablo 4. Don't worry, guys. Diablo 4 is coming. Yeah, sure, Diablo 4 might be coming, but Diablo 5 might never come. Like, depending on how Diablo 4 does, we might not have a Diablo 5. If Diablo Immortal makes them $100 million a day, why the fuck are they gonna make Diablo 4 that's gonna make them $100 million a day the first day, and then it's not going to make them anywhere near that for the rest of the days?
I mean, I can play devil's advocate. People are like, well, they may use that money that they made from Diablo Immortal to fund more Diablo games.
Yeah, you really expect that out of Activision?
I don't. I'm just saying what other people might say.
I mean, Activision's getting more involved now, so Morhaim's gone. Who's fighting back? I mean, this new president's some guy who made like the third World of Warcraft expansion. Like, okay, great. Like, that was really successful.
I mean, Blizzard's in a really tight spot. I hope they pull through.
I do too. I mean, I want to see them turn around, but I just don't have faith.
It's just hard. I mean, because you can't hire people like that anymore. You can't hire because writing is totally different nowadays.
Yep.
You know, Blizzard had excellent writing. Like we were talking about with StarCraft 1, like
oh my gosh.
how the writing, how that game, like okay, people who haven't played StarCraft 1, it's literally, I'm not even fucking joking with you, like Game of Thrones in fucking space. Like the way the one of the characters play, she's like a Cersei's, like of the fucking,
but way
more calculated.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The way she plays different characters, and you know the dialogue between different characters and stuff. Blizzard's writing, and even in Warcraft, like the writing was there. Like everything about their games, their quality, you just saw it. They had passion about their games. Now,
every little detail was perfect.
Yeah, everything was perfect.
There was no bugs. There wasn't no Bethesda bullshit.
Yeah,
like those games worked. They were like Nintendo. Like their games were polished. They fucking worked. If there were bugs, they fixed them in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like they were crazy. And I mean, they're still passionate now. I'm sure they're still.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still passionate.
They're still high quality games now. Their games are very polished now. Not saying that, not taking that away from them, but they're just speaking to a different audience now. That's just the reality, and that's the reality we're going to be looking at going forward. I mean, that's all. I mean, that's honestly all I have to say on this subject. I don't know if you have any more to add. Really,
I just really want them to be successful, but I just want to let you guys know, like, how Blizzard, they really turned me on to the genre of RTS. I mean, I was playing, like, Age of Empires and shit like that, but then,
that was a good
yeah,
game.
I mean, it was a good game. But then I played StarCraft, and I was like,
it's a completely
it's like,
process.
yeah, it's night and day. The storytelling, you know, they built these worlds, and I don't know, man. Like, the reason, if you're just like, oh, it's just a fucking game, like, Blizzard built worlds for people, built escapism for people. Like, some people, they drink to escape, they listen to music to escape. A lot of people escape themselves in this world that Blizzard has built for them, and now all that's going to come tumbling down in the way for money. And it's kind of, in mobile games, it's kind of fucked up, but
hopefully somebody will come in and take their place.
Hopefully somebody understands the culture, you know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with change. I just don't want to see change in the wrong direction. Obviously, they're shutting down Heroes of the Storm. They're doing all this crazy shit, and it's not a good look for them, unfortunately.
No, it's not a good look. And I mean, we're going to continue to monitor them going forward. I am very interested to see what their future looks like. Their immediate future for me looks good with Warcraft 3 remaster and then the WoW Vanilla, but it's yet to be seen how those pan out. So we're going to be monitoring that. I will be playing both of those games. I think you will be too.
Yeah.
Potentially. So we'll definitely have some thoughts on those. But I think that's pretty much where we're going to leave it this week. If you guys want to reach out to us, Montrell already mentioned his Twitter. If you want to say it again.
It's iTrap for the Hokage. Twitter, so it's lowercase ITRAP as in Peter, number 4 in Hokage, which is spelled HOKAGE. I think I got that right. Yeah.
And then our Twitter is the Players Take, at the Players Take. No apostrophe, all lowercase. I don't currently have a Twitter because my Twitter was at the Players Take, which I converted for this podcast. So I'm going to make one at some point, maybe within the next week, and then I'll have it for you next week. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, if you've listened to the episode, we really appreciate you.
Yeah. If you have any feedback,
send it to the Twitters. If you have questions, for now, you can email them to us at theplayerstake01@gmail.com. That we may make a dedicated questions email in the future, but for now, you can send it there. Otherwise, as I said already, if you guys did listen, if you listened this far, because this is a pretty meaty first episode, if you've listened this far,
Thank you.
We sincerely appreciate you. And we would love to hear your opinions. I really want to interact with people with this podcast. So otherwise, I think next week we're going to talk about some Game of the Year stuff and whatever news comes out between now and then. And that is pretty much it.
And
so
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Indeed, Merry Christmas.
I think we're gonna record one more before New Year's, so we'll say Happy New Year's on that one.
Indeed. So, but if you don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Holidays to you.
Or whatever you do, celebrate. Just have a merry holiday.
Yeah, there you go. Have a good day off, because that's how I look at it sometimes. So yeah.
So that's gonna be it from us, guys. Signing off.
All right.
See you next week.
See ya.